4, 3, 2, 1.
He's a big deal. He's a big fighter. Thank you very much, Dan.
You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me.
You are now tuned into the Boxing Voice Radio. Join us every Thursday and Sunday, live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
ThaBoxingvoice.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another lunch break edition. Big news, and we felt we couldn't wait till Thursday to talk about this one. Gennady Golovkin and Daniel Jacobs is off the docket. No more will be seeing this fight for 2016. It's looking like the powers that be are trying to make this one and get it done for 2017 early, and we'll give you all the details. Who's ducking who, whose fault it is. If this is something you're interested in, something you want to listen to, you need to stick around here because we will be taking your calls at 1-425-569-5241.
ThaBoxingvoice.com.
You need that fear.
All I'm trying to do is make a stand for something that I truly believe is right. I truly believe is right. I don't want to be like you. Come on, man. I'm the face of boxing. I'm the cash cow. I hold the record with pay-per-view.
My job, I know my job, I know my situation. I want to fight.
That's Nazi Production.
But it's gonna be very difficult for both of us.
ThaBoxingvoice.com.
Yes, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Lunch break edition. We're going to head on over to the Sunshine State to the good Dr. Boxing MD. Boxing MD, what's going on, brother? I know you want to sit in on this episode.
What's going on, Ness? And unfortunately, more breaking news and more fights that are not happening in 2017. So it seems to be an unfortunate trend. And let's hope this fight gets settled and negotiated for early 2017 because all of us want to see this fight.
And bringing it back over here to the good state of New Jersey, the Sunshine State, we got none other than Enrique Church.
What's up, man? Yeah, I just want to say I saw a fight too.
Stay focused. Stay working my dad.
I saw
Nice boxing voice.
Listen, if he comes to fight, then I'm gonna have to look for him.
I saw the fight too.
I think you're accurate.
Yes, I know my job. I know my situation. Triple G. Yeah, Gennady Golovkin and Daniel Jacobs not happening. That's kind of a sad update, man. But what does that mean, Ness or MD? Does that mean they renegotiate because the fight didn't happen because of no terms agreed, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah, they couldn't come to any agreements, but let's let the good doctor give you the details, doctor.
Well, it seems to me that the big issue is the split of the purse, right? Although previously rumored about was the side of the fight, whether it be at Barclays or MSG, but the WBA has mandated that the fight is a 75-25 split. 75 is the super champion, which is Golovkin, and 25 is the regular champion, which is Danny Jacobs. And Danny Jacobs' team has gone on record to say that they deserve at least 60-40, maybe 50-50. And so the negotiations have to be somewhere between the 25-75 and the 60-40 because, you know, at the end of the day, they could wait to go to purse bid and Danny Jacobs will get nothing more than 25% or have to drop the belt. So if we're talking about what they could do legally and what, you know, the terms are, K2 has, you know, they have all the chips right now, to be honest.
So from a casual perspective, Enrique, when you got this notification, this alert, however it is that you consume your boxing news, what was your immediate reaction to this?
Oh, my immediate reaction was like, damn, I guess December we'll have Bernard Hopkins, Joe Smith. Canelo broke his thumb. Yeah, that was it. I just don't know how does it conclude. Where does it pick back up in January or in 2017 if they couldn't reach an agreement now? And it being that no, at the end of the day, it's going to be 75%, 25%. So I just say okay, politics as usual. But yeah, I'm saddened by the news. I wanted to see that fight.
Well, and I think it's also important to note that I don't know if it's 100% confirmed, but the rumor was that Golovkin's team offered Gennady Jacobs $1.9 million. That was the quote unquote disrespectful amount of money that Ness had him say on tape.
Well, I mean, I would prefer if you were going to spit finances that you at least has a source, because you're saying to your listeners now, because you're a panelist, so you're telling them, hey, Daniel Jacobs turned down 1.9. He thought that was disrespectful. Are you being truthful with them? Do you know that's the amount?
But didn't I say before that saying that the rumored was $1.9 million? So I prefaced that statement with a rumor of, right, or allegedly of. So I didn't say it's a fact.
Exactly. The defense attorney would step in, objection, Your Honor, leading. He's clearly leading, because why are you bringing up rumors if we're here to give the facts? You want to spit an agenda as if Jacobs turned down an amount. But if it's a rumor, why bring it up? Why even give people that? Okay.
You know what? Because I knew that Ness would be coming with all these hypothetical.
MD, hold on though, Ness. You sound like you have something in your pocket that's factual. What is it? About the fight not happening? About
he doesn't. He just has an interview.
These are the facts. We're still negotiating with the Jacobs side, and we had a December 10th on hold with HBO and Madison Square Garden. But because we do not have a deal in place, it was unrealistic to hold that date, Tom Loeffler said. So we are going to look to try and make a deal as soon as possible and pick a date for 2017 to stage the fight. So,
but what else is also a fact is maybe the negotiations.
I'm not done, sir.
Okay.
So just how sincere is Jacobs' camp in making this fight? Question. And I quote, every indication that I've gotten is that Jacobs wants the fight.
And wants more money.
Answered Loeffler. So we are continuing to negotiate as the fight's going to happen, and we will fulfill our mandatory WBA mandatory obligation. That's our responsibility as a champion that has multiple titles. It's just a matter of working out the deal to make it happen.
Correct. And I'm not disputing the fact that Gennady Jacobs doesn't want this fight. I'm not saying he definitely does not want to fight Golovkin, but again, it's the money, right? But maybe these deals again stalled because there's also a quote, and you cannot ignore it, with Andre Rozier saying that at this point, right, which is right now, that they do not have enough time to prepare for Golovkin. And that's also a fact, and that is a quote, right? Which is very interesting because even if you give him a 2-week break, him doing absolutely nothing after his tough fight against Sergio Mora, right? He still has 11 weeks before that December 10th date. So as a professional athlete, again, I question that. I find that a little ridiculous because he had to have known that the Golovkin fight was coming next. So I find that as an excuse to stall negotiations to try to somehow get more money, which to me, to be honest, right? You talked, Ness, about him, I guess, having to pay the regular sanctioning fee previous, right? Am I correct with that? When he was using the WBA belt, right?
I was told by Andre Rozier that he was being charged the exact same amount that they are charging Gennady Golovkin to be the super champion. So they're charged as super champions. Okay, and I assume obviously who we won that belt from was from Jared, was it left-hand Fletcher, and he fought a few opponents that were we all thought were much below his level. But while those fights happened,
they broadcasted and used that belt as he was the world champion, right? So in other words, he benefited from that belt, at least from the media standpoint, as being treated as the world champion, right? Am I correct with that?
Yes.
People like
So the same organization that he financially gained by fighting lesser opposition because of that belt, now he does not like the split, which they ruled on. I mean, like I said, it's like at the end of the day, K2 could wait, and because they play within the rules, and they could say, look, 75-25, it is what it is. They're doing a good faith negotiation by making more of a, I guess, possibly giving him more than that split by negotiating. They could say, look, we're not negotiating. Now, having said that, if Al Heyman or whoever promotes, or whoever who's the actual promoter of Danny Jacobs wants to get his fighter paid, then they have to, put up the big money and offer like $12 million or so to get him the $3 million, which, people speculate is what he needs to get this fight done.
Again, more speculation, more leading, trying to lead our listeners to believe that Jacobs wants this astronomical amount of money. You're plucking figures out of your imagination here. The bottom line is this. Some fighters train all year round like Sean Porter. Some don't, like Keith Thurman, and they balloon up right when they're about to sign a fight to fight the biggest fight of their career versus Sean Porter. And we all make shows.
And whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
Let me finish. And we all say how fat he was. Okay. So Daniel Jacobs not staying in training after Sergio Mora is not out of the normal, but this is something that you want to try and somehow push upon our listeners, that Danny somehow is being unlike a boxer and he's out of shape when he should have been in shape, knowing he's gonna fight. Listen, no one prepares for nothing until the contract is signed or done, right? Because I'm going off of your words, because when Danny tells you the fight is done with Thurman, right, Enrique, he doesn't believe it. He says there's no contract, but now he wants Danny Jacobs to fucking fight and train without a contract that isn't signed. Now you tell me, Enrique, please, because he's gonna try and make up some cockamamie excuse now. Isn't that hypocritical? He wants Thurman, to stay in shape, but it's okay if he doesn't, then Danny, he's got to do all these other things. I mean, where's the normality of this?
It's just favoritism, but I'm going to get MD a camouflage shirt, because he's got to wear, he's got points, but yeah.
He's always in war.
And if you want to use the court terms, the prosecutor would object, right? The defense attorney.
Yeah, but you say this like saying that like he had no idea that this Golovkin fight was on the horizon. I'm pretty sure that this date was public. If he really wanted this fight, like Ness, you're saying, and you know what? To be honest, I criticize any fighter who gets out of shape because they're professional athletes, right? And their job is to stay in shape. And I understand that they're not always in training camp, but I just don't get what you're trying to justify by him not being in shape.
What about this?
Well, no one gave Thurman shit when he was in negotiations that continued to fall apart with Porter, and he ballooned up. No one gave him shit. You didn't call in and say, well, Thurman should have been training because he knew he was in negotiations with Porter.
Well,
you want Danny to do the unthinkable.
If there would have been a statement saying that this fight can't happen because he needs more time to train for it, I would have criticized it as well. But I'm not sure if that actually existed. And, we could go back in the records and look at that. But I am aware that fighters balloon up. But, as a professional athlete, their job is to stay in shape. And I'm sorry, I just don't really feel bad for fighters who balloon up and who are not in shape. I mean, it is their job to stay in shape. I just don't really see any other, excuse for that.
You know what else people?
I hear you. Let's not get hung up on that, though.
Thurman did make the fight, so that's why people are looking at Danny Jacobs as a ducker, when we don't know what the money is that he's offered and what he should be getting. And he is labeled as a regular champion at the end of the day, not the super champion. So
well, I wouldn't call him a ducker. I'd call him a little delusional with the finances. There's a difference, right? Ducking means he has no intention to ever fight him.
Where are you getting this from? Why is he delusional? What is the amount that you read that he wants?
No, I'm just saying because somehow he believes that he deserves more than the split given or what K2's offering him, right?
Okay,
Can you tell me why he deserves more?
Slow down. You said for some reason he deserves what? Come on, slow down. Give me a bit.
He thinks that he deserves more than what the sanctioning body has mandated. Am I correct with that?
Absolutely. Do we need to readdress that, or did you not get that?
I've already stated.
Did you not get that? Just sheer principle, he's entitled to that.
He's entitled to 25%. I don't know what you're arguing.
No. Off sheer principle, he's entitled to more than 25%.
I don't agree with that at all. On principle.
Absolutely.
I don't know what.
Again, it is the fault of the sanctioning fee. They cannot charge two men the exact same amount for the sanctioning fee of the title fight if one is a regular and the other is a super. That is
he had the benefit of using that belt as world champion, and he benefited off of it financially by fighting guys who were not like appetizing for the fans, but they sold him as world champion. So I don't see why he didn't have to pay that sanctioning fee, because they allowed him to be called world champion. They didn't give a caveat when they broadcast it. They didn't say that he was the junior champion to Golovkin. So continue.
I don't understand why he said that, because all you're doing is agreeing with me. The sanctioning fee also received a super champion fee for all those fights when Daniel Jacobs used the belt as a caveat. Okay, so that is the argument. Don't you get that? Enrique, I want to ask you, can you answer that for me? Because this guy, week after week, he spins around that as if he doesn't understand it. The good doctor. I mean, what school is he going to?
Well, the good doctor is saying that he had the trinket, and the trinket gave him leverage to look as a champion. There was no caveat saying that you're second to Golovkin. They made him look as number one on television. And so he has to pay as if he's number one, when in reality, on paper, he's regular and the man Triple G is super.
All right.
My whole thing is this: like, they didn't reach terms for December. What makes you think they're going to reach terms for January, February? You know what I mean?
Because Loeffler is adamant about saying that he doesn't want it to go to purse bid, nor does Jacob's side.
So where does the money come from now?
It's not about coming from. What it is about a bigger split. Listen.
Oh, so it's already a purse.
If Jacobs already lobbied to the WBA to seek 40%, he obviously is okay with 40. Tom Loeffler and K2 obviously are not okay with 40, or else they would have just said, hey, if 40 is what you want, let's get this fight done. We'll do it at 40. So they let the WBA deny Jacobs, and they are negotiating. So now it doesn't take a genius. So we're in between 25 and 45. 25 and 40%. So obviously, Team Jacobs has not agreed to anything 25 and above, but not getting to 40, because obviously Loeffler's not cool with giving 40, because he could have just said, forget going to the WBA, take 40%. Let's get this thing done.
Well, can I explain something really quickly that, the percentages right now are irrelevant, because nobody has put up a principal amount of money then to determine the split, right? So they're offering him, him being the A side, they're offering him a flat fee or whatever it is, because I assume this is going to be on HBO regular. Am I correct with that? That's what we're accustomed to. That Jacobs has no problem fighting on HBO. That seems
to know yet if it's just regular, though.
Okay, so but right now, before that, there's a purse bid, right? The splits are only relevant when the purse bid occurs. So if I put up $10 million and one is deemed 75-25, one guy gets $7.5 million and the other guy gets $2.5 million, right? So right now they're talking just about money. At the end of the day, like I said, K2 could say, look, we didn't come to negotiations. It didn't work out. Let's go to a purse bid. So whoever wins that purse bid, no matter what, Golovkin will still be getting 75 and Jacobs will still be getting 25%. Even if PBC, whatever promoter decides to put up the money, wins the purse bid.
Let me teach you something as a casual fan that this kid right here doesn't know. Loeffler already said he doesn't want to go to purse bid. Let me tell you why. Because nothing will come of it. Jacobs will either walk away from the title, because he's not going to face Golovkin for 25%. And no real boxing fan would call that a duck when there's plenty of people that have gotten more money than what Jacobs is being offered, right? So now this is another thing. Jason, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. And Lemieux to start. Lemieux. Okay. So Jason Sosa, this is what I learned in my time in the gym with Jason Sosa. And obviously, big credit to our Patreon subscribers that allow us to do these things. And this can educate MD. Jason Sosa was also the WBA regular and still is. And Jerry Corrales is the super. And that fight was offered to them. And they were offered 25%, 75% to the champion. And the fight had to take place in Panama. You know what Jason Sosa did?
What'd he do?
He said, I don't want the fight. Is Jason Sosa stripped?
I don't know. Teach me.
No, he's not. He's going to fight his belt with Steven Smith. So I don't know what MD is talking about. The reason no one wants to go to purse bid because they know nothing will come from it. Is there a possibility that the WBA strips?
That's not even the same thing because
Hold on a minute. It is exactly the same thing. It is listen,
because this fight's being fought in Kazakhstan, right?
Wait a minute.
It's going to be fought in Kazakhstan.
This is exactly the same thing because it is the same sanctioning body mandating that all their titles be shrunk into one. It is exactly the same thing. It is the same percentage. It is exact. And all this is on audio. All you got to do is sit through the video with me and Jason Sosa's trainer. So it's all good. You can say what you want. The only reason that Jacobs may be stripped, Enrique, is because this is a higher profile fight than guess who? Jason Sosa versus Jerry Corrales. But there is still that possibility that like Jason Sosa did not get stripped, Daniel Jacobs will not get stripped.
Let me ask you a question. How much did Danny Jacobs make in his last fight versus Sergio Mora?
I don't know. I told you that off air too, so I don't even
No, I'm saying, and the fact is nobody knows because they fought in Reading, and shout out to Matt, one of the writers for the Boxing Voice. He said that, I guess, the rules in Pennsylvania where they chose to have his last fight against Sergio Mora in a venue that seated about 3,000 people, and these again are facts, right? Because I'm not making these things up. He did happen to fight in Reading, Pennsylvania, a fight that had no significant meeting. When you fight in Pennsylvania, they do not have to publicly release the purses, so we'll never figure out how much he got paid. And I don't know what world you live in, but Danny Jacobs is no superstar. In his biggest fight against Peter Quillen, who I believe Peter Quillen was the A side, even though they had an even split, right?
Right.
It did 384,000 views on Showtime. In Barclays, that sits what? 21,000 people, Enrique? Am I correct with that? About 20 because it's an NBA stadium?
I think less than that, but
okay, so maybe 18?
About 15 and change.
Yeah, it was about half full with about 8,000 and change people sitting there. Is this man a superstar or is he a legitimate contender for the lineal middleweight champion? I'm just really confused because I don't know what world we live in. I just don't know what world we live in because I'm living in the real world and looking at facts.
Now, you think that's the WBA's argument? What you just said? I mean, that makes sense if it's the truth, but
no, it's not the WBA's argument. It's Tom Loeffler's argument, who is working within the rules as a boxing promoter. And, I'll tell you one other thing, too, that bothers me, right? People go, oh, Al Heyman, why does he get so much hate? You know why he gets so much hate? Because we could call Tom Loeffler out on his hypocrisies and the bullshit he says sometimes, right? Who the fuck is Al Heyman? He's doing like these shit behind closed doors, so we could be critical of that. It's not the same thing. And this man, at least Tom Loeffler, is available to be interviewed by people like Nestor Gibbs, because Nestor Gibbs could call his hypocrisies out. And then you're pretending on the other side that they are in the right and Tom Loeffler and K2 is being in the wrong. These things need to be clarified for the people to understand, because I just don't know what world we live in.
All right. I'm practicing good behavior here. I let you rant on and on. Now, Enrique, I just want to ask, what are we doing here? Is this an immediate reaction to the fight being off, or is this Daniel Jacobs on some sort of criminal trial or something? Why did you lead off with the fact, listen to me, why did he lead off with the fact that Danny Jacobs fought in PA and no one knows how much money he made? What did all that have to do with anything? Please explain.
You state the case, but
no. But what does it have to do with anything though? Like, why is he putting this perception in the air that Danny is a ducker, and now what? He's hiding his purse purposely?
He's the one that's not okay with the split, so it's on him to justify why.
That's how he
Dude,
calculated.
you're making up shit in your fucking mind, dude. You're out of control with this.
What am I making up? He didn't like the split. He thought that 75-25 was a ridiculous split. So he I'm saying,
what does that have to do with him fighting in PA and we don't know his purse? How many other fighters don't you know their purse, man?
I don't know how many fighters fight in Reading, PA that are supposed to be superstars. I never heard of one.
Obviously, every week fighters were fighting in PA for fucking PBC and King's Promotion. If you didn't know, most of the Tuesday night fights were happening there.
Ness, MD, you brought that up just to say that this, whatever 25% of the actual pie is, it's going to be bigger than Reading, Pennsylvania, and possibly bigger than Peter Quillen fight share.
What I'm saying is that it doesn't even matter if it's bigger or not bigger than the Peter Quillen purse, because there's this notion that somehow Danny Jacobs can not lose his belt, right? Because eventually, if they don't come to terms and agreement on the split, and he rejects whatever offer or whatever purse bid, he will be stripped, right? There's this notion that Danny Jacobs could still be fighting and making his 800,000-900,000 or whatever he was getting before. I definitely challenge that notion, because he will be making nothing compared to that in the future, especially if we see how PBC is going, and also the fact that he doesn't even have that belt that he's benefited from previously. I mean, let's not pretend before this big win, Danny Jacobs has had no notable wins his entire career. And I understand the man overcame cancer, which got him the opportunity to get TV times against fighters that we didn't want to see. And we all liked his story. And of course, it is a wonderful story, and he seems like a very good man. But these are things that we have to accept in the boxing world, that when somebody says they're worth a certain amount of money, you can't always be.
Yo, between you and this chat, I don't even understand what the fuck is going on here.
It's the reaction, that immediate reaction is, oh, Jacobs ducked him. Jacobs is never going to get paid.
You heard what he said, MD? And it flew over your head because you're a casual. But this dude, this fucking weirdo right here, just said that Daniel Jacobs doesn't have a big win. Or before his big win, he hadn't beat anybody. Daniel Jacobs with the Peter Quillen win has a better resume than Golovkin. Tell me I'm lying.
I don't agree with that at all. I do not agree with that at all. But since when? One second.
No. Short, quickly, dispute it.
No.
Okay, why?
Because the body work of Golovkin's career is much better than one big win.
But you spoke of big win. You led the argument with big win. So now I can't say it because your man doesn't have a big win.
But okay, one second. A big win should lead to a bigger persona, or a bigger,
Yes. Now because we have to,
and it has not
now because we have to compare the big wins of each guy, we need to use different terminologies now. Now we want to rearrange it. You said he doesn't have a big win. I said his big win is bigger than Golovkin's. So you're saying no, it's not. But isn't Peter Quillen, who
I'm saying that his resume is not better. Resume
champion, more established than David Lemieux, who has been knocked out and lost a decision?
He also has Dimitri Prague, where he was sleeping on the fucking canvas, Ness. Oh, you want to ignore that one or no? I mean, are you gonna ignore the fact that Sergio Mora dropped his ass?
Did you forget that David Lemieux was knocked out as well?
Okay, and Golovkin won every second of every round and knocked him out in the 7th round. It doesn't matter.
Except for this, Enrique. One man, after a knockout, reestablished himself and defeated by knockout a top-tier fighter. Another man was handpicked, gimme fights, and the biggest fight he had back on his return from a knockout was Hassan and Dam. This guy is lying to you. I don't lie to the public. That's not what happened, MD. Tell me I'm lying.
Dude, this is the same argument you use justifying Danny Garcia's career, like a big win. Like, I'm sorry, like this isn't.
No,
you can't.
You said big win, not me. I was quiet here. You said
I said before his big. Oh my God, I'm saying
his big win. He didn't have a resume, and I said his big win is bigger than Gennady Golovkin's. What are you talking about?
I'm saying that he got TV dates, right? He got TV dates and was a world champion and had that opportunity to fight on TV because of his story before his big win, right? Now big wins should translate to a bigger profile, right? But I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It hasn't at all with him. Can you explain to me how Danny Jacobs has become more popular since his win in any quantitative value? in any quantitative value. What has it done for him?
It's gotten him to the point where he's in negotiations with the biggest fight of this year.
Or has the WBA themselves kind of forced that upon him?
I don't think so, because I do believe that Gennady Golovkin and K2 have been trying to get Daniel Jacobs in the ring.
You know what I don't understand is the whole WBA ordering the fight and the fight not happening. They're ordering the fight, but not giving the regular champion increase in his money because he's facing the super champion. They're just asking him to
exactly, Enrique. But listen, otherwise, if it wasn't, just think about this, because this is what Daniel Jacobs is telling the WBA. If it wasn't negotiations with Golovkin and instead with another champion, right? So then Jacobs would receive the 75% and someone else would receive the interim titleist. Let's say the interim titleist had to fight Jacobs, because there's 3 WBA versions. That's the problem.
I'd be consistent with any of that. I mean, that's why
finish explaining to Enrique so he could grasp what was going on, because I don't see how you don't see how it's unfair. They're charging him the same amount. Now, if he was to fight the interim titleist, they're going to tell the interim, hey, Jacobs is the champion. He gets 75%. So now Jacobs gets 75 in this fight, but not the next fight. It doesn't make sense when they're charging you that. So if there were tiers, like, okay, regular pays X, Y, percentage, and the super pays a different percentage, but they're not. They're being charged equally.
Yeah, it's unfair.
I mean, but I'm biased for saying that. I don't get it.
My reaction is the WBA. They ordered the fight. They pay for what's needed to make the fight happen, but it's not going down like that. So that's your reaction. So what is your reaction? I mean, I get MD's reaction. It's cool. You could choose sides. In New York City,
MD doesn't even have a reaction. Instead of wondering, like, what's going on with the fight, he's debating. It's all Jacobs. He came in.
No, my God, that's not at all. Like, okay, let me explain this, because I don't want my words manipulated, right?
Clarify yourself.
I've said on record that the 25% seems, from an outside perspective, a little harsh, right? It seems a little harsh. I thought it'd be more of a closer split, right?
Right.
But you know what? The world is fucking harsh. The world isn't fair.
Exactly.
The world isn't fair. So let's not complain, Danny Jacobs, that the WBA, the organization that you chose to fight in, fucked you. I'm sorry.
So then why do you get upset when he says, hey, we need more time to train as a negotiation tactic? In your opinion, that's your words. You said it, he said that as a negotiation tactic. So then don't get mad. This is the world you live in.
That's new information. He needs more time to train for the 25% and agreeing with the 25%.
No, he needs more time to train because he's not going to be prepared for the December 10th fight.
Listen, to stall out, baby, to stall out. You're not going to play nobody out because they'll walk away from the title. Daniel Jacobs isn't the first one to walk away. Remember, Peter Quillen walked away. They will walk away, and not just Heyman fighters. Canelo walked away. Everybody walks away, bro. You know who's never, ever walked away? Bernard Hopkins, the only fighter.
And Canelo walked away, and then he's looked at by a lot of people as a ducker because he dropped the belt. I mean,
51,000 people went to see him, and 300,000.
It's funny that the belts matter until you're not happy in what they tell you what to do and what not to do, right? So this is like ridiculous. I'm sorry. Like, you have to, since the world is not fair, right? You try to work within the rules that these belts establish. So this is what these fighters do. I mean, how the fuck else is someone who does not have a big name is going to earn himself or has a big backing? Let's not. An article just came out, right? This is also important to note. An article just came out about why Bob Arum, obviously who's the promoter of Top Rank, chose not to sign Golovkin. And he was dealing with something very similar to Rigondeaux, right? He was dealing with contract issues over in Germany. Also, he's from Kazakhstan, which has zero fan base. It is a very small country.
So why are we making a case for Golovkin over here? I thought this was an immediate reaction.
Well, if you didn't stand up and walk away, you would actually understand that I'm making a point. But you
don't get.
I wanted to hear.
Are we immediately reacting to the fight not happening, or are we debating the fight again and again in every episode?
I'm trying to have an intelligent discussion about boxing.
Worth and Jacobs' worth.
All I hear is you saying Golovkin is worth more because he came from a country that no one expected a star to rise in. Jacobs is nobody. All he has is his cancer story. That's all you're saying. Let's just get to the
Enrique, is that what I said at all? Or
Nah, he brought up something.
In a fucking gist. That is what you're saying. Don't give me that. You know it.
no?
Where were you going?
Okay, can
Bob
you let
Allen
me? Can,
not signed because he had
a contract issue with his German promotion team, and the fact that he was from Kazakhstan and there wasn't a large incentive, right? So then he was signed by K2, and yes, Golovkin eventually he had an opportunity on HBO, but because he has a fighting style that's aesthetically pleasing and has delivered every single fight, he's gained some momentum. They've also worked within the belts. They worked within the belts to try to get him the best fights possible. That's what you do if you don't have a huge Mexican fan base behind you, or you're not, an Olympic gold medalist or whatever. So they've been doing that they've been consistent with that, right? So to assume somehow that Golovkin is becoming a diva because they're working within the rules of the belts that everybody has to adhere to is pretty ridiculous and is very hypocritical. Like, that's just my opinion, right? Because Golovkin earned that 75-25 split if that's what they deem necessary, even if you find that unacceptable. Because they didn't create that split themselves. The belts organization did that he fought in.
Yo, but that's what I'm telling you. They also gave that split to the other champion by the name of fucking Daniel Jacobs. That's what you're not getting. He is the champion too, and he gets 75% too. But now they're telling him no. Why don't you understand that? Why are you acting like you don't see that?
Because in the two when they're fighting together, that's how the split happens. Again, I already said that in the beginning of the show. I don't want to repeat myself because people could go back and listen. But again, like
MD.
So Ness, but Ness, let me ask you a question, right? What is Danny Jacobs going to do if his belt's stripped? Can you tell me what he's going to do?
He'll have.
I don't know. Start over, just like every other champion that loses their belt, whether in the ring or on the scales, or they vacate. What did Mikey Garcia do when he lost his belt?
Start all over.
Mikey Garcia was in an entirely different circumstance because he had a contract issue. He had a contract negotiation issue, and that led him out of the ring for 2 years. And then he became his own man and his own power man. And it seems like he's trying to at least challenge himself as a pro, right? I just don't see, like, K2 is trying to make this fight happen. And if Danny Jacobs wants this fight to happen, they have to accept the fact that maybe they're not worth as much as they think they are.
Okay, so MD, can we agree on this really quick? We know that K2 doesn't want to give him 40, right?
Yes.
All right. And we know Jacobs doesn't want 25, right?
Yes.
So we're arguing over a 15% more, right? So who really is in control of this negotiation? You know where Jacobs is comfortable. He's comfortable at 40, right? We got to repeat it again. Is he comfortable at 40?
At least they said that. I mean, Andre Rozier said they're worth at least 40-60, but they should be worth 50-50. That's a fact, but continue.
Okay, so they want at least 40. So they're comfortable with 40, Enrique, because obviously he's gonna drag this shit on. We're never gonna get to callers because he doesn't want to lose this shit. He got little fanboys in the chat, and he doesn't want to lose her. So they're comfortable with 40, Enrique, but not with 25. Whose job is it now? Is it fucking Jacob's job to say, hey, all right, we'll take 39%. And wait for Loeffler to say, nah, we ain't giving you 39. All right, we'll take 38%. Nah, we ain't all right, give me 37. Or is it fucking Loeffler's job to come as high as he can to that 40 and say, this is what we could give you, right or wrong?
Right.
So what is this dude talking about? Why is he singing? There's only one man in control. Like there's always only one man in control of negotiations. Do you know the answer to that?
No, who's that man?
The A side. Only the A side is ever in control. Ever. Name another time where the A side ain't in control.
Canelo versus Cotto. There was like a battle between A sides.
And who established themselves as the A side?
Canelo. I mean Cotto.
That's right. Because the A side is always in control. MD, I only want to ask you one question. Who is the A side in this negotiation?
Golovkin.
I wanted MD to hang himself, but it's okay. Thank you.
It's a rhetorical question. I don't have to answer those.
Thank you.
But let me say one thing before we get to the callers. Here's what. Let's talk about facts. Let's see what happened. Let's talk about what could happen. Scenarios, right? They either come to an agreement, which would be somehow more than the 25%. Again, the splits don't matter until a purse is bid upon, right? If that doesn't come into agreement, it'll go to a purse bid, which has already been ruled the 25-75, right?
Right.
So then either promoter, whether that be PBC side or whether that be K2 side, has the opportunity to bid whatever they want to get their own fighters paid.
Okay.
That's it.
So, MD, have you ever asked for thumbs up?
Ever asked for a thumbs up?
Yeah, you ever asked for listeners since you are they identify with you. A lot of listeners identify with you. They're on your side. Can you ask for a thumbs up from them? They want to hear it.
Well, you know, the thing is, as much as I disagree with Ness and sometimes you, like, we're all a team here. So I'm sorry, like, that I haven't established that myself. But when Ness asks for a thumbs up, that's the same thing for me asking for a thumbs up, because we're all work together to bring you guys this boxing discussion. And I disagree with Ness a lot.
When Wu-Tang was a group, but each of them had their different sound and different voice and delivered different, messages. You can ask for a thumbs up, brother.
Yeah, he delivers that Golovkin.
That's cool. The Jizz of the Genius, MD.
So if you guys like this, like this discussion,
MD,
please hit thumbs up, share on social media, and support. We have a thing called Patreon, which we bring exclusive content, and we'll bring you guys more exclusive content. So if you like what I have to say or what any of the other panelists have to say, please support, hit thumbs up, and share.
And remember that your contribution is not for pocket money or to go gamble or to go pay our way in the fight, but it is to put gasoline in Nestor's vehicle, and it is to get more content for the show, to get you access, I believe, you know what I mean? And another way you can support is to buy our merchandise. And if you're a hardcore fan, we're going to Las Vegas on the 18th of November, previous to fight of Kovalev. Who's Kovalev fighting? Andre Ward, Rock Nation. And you can have the same discussion in person over some free beverages, and hors d'oeuvres. Did I say that right? Is that wrong?
No, is that another shirt? Because that looks nice.
It's a blank. It'll have something soon.
I like the dye on it. Listen, let me get it out to the callers. We got a lot of callers for a lunch break show. People probably got to get back to their lunch or work rather. 214, you're up. Who's this?
Yo, this is Class and Bound. What's going on, dudes? Hold on, let me get out of here right quick. I'm at a barbecue place.
Okay. For lunch, he's
definitely having lunch.
He's taking that risk. That's a risky lunch move.
Down. What's up?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, dude. I think we're kind of all really just complaining over really nothing. I mean, I just went on to Sky Sports and they pretty much summed up what's going on. All it is they're just Loeffler saying like they don't want to go to purse bid, and both sides agree that like they want to negotiate instead of just going to purse bid because this fight needs to get made because it's a great fight. I personally think that Jacobs should just take like 35% or 30%, like somewhere around that range would be fair, and then just get the fight made, man. Like this is an excellent fight for Triple G to establish himself and for Jacobs to get a chance to show what he's got and see where he stands. The only other thing I'm going to say, like you were talking about, the show's great because everyone's different. Like there's not no one's like favoring heavily one kind of fighter and one kind of style. And that's why the show's awesome, even though I disagree with MD and Ness at times, and casual's casual, but it's great to hear all these opinions, and it's just a good breath of fresh air. But to be honest, the only thing I'm going to say, MD, the whole the world is unfair thing. Remember, we can't say the world is unfair because we want boxing to be we want boxing to be politically correct, even though that doesn't happen. And if that's the case, then Triple G has to take the $10 million that Canelo offers him, and then we can't say, oh, that's not fair. it has to be like, it has to be either one way for everyone or not at all.
Wait a minute. I'm being consistent with that argument because Canelo didn't like the terms of his belt that he chose to fight and parade himself around the waist as a fake-ass WBC middleweight champion. But the second that he didn't like that split, the belt that he used to fight Miguel Cotto, two fighters who have never fought the real middleweight in their entire life, he ducked or dropped the belt. So I'm really consistent with that, and it's inarguable.
The argument. We all agree with that. We all agree with that. Absolutely. He dug Triple G. That's not the argument. The argument is that everyone's complaining that 10 mil isn't fair, but like that, I mean, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Take it or leave it. Whether, I mean, like we all agree Canelo ducked, but I mean, that was never the argument. We all know what happened.
But if we want to be politically correct, like you said, right? Don't we have to work within purse splits with the belt's mandate? Because the belt's like, well, for example, like the WBC has been at least doing some things to try to make the sport more politically correct by having universal drug testing. Am I correct with that? So the splits, right? Are there to prevent somebody from getting stiffed so heavily, like a 95-5 or something like that, when a guy's fighting for a world champion, right? World championship, because the guy has an opportunity to feed his family. And let's not pretend Gennady Jacobs is making money that he can't feed his family for all the middle class and working class people, because let's stop caring about how much money he makes as long as it's reasonable.
Well, if you want us to stop caring about how much money is made, maybe you should stop caring about the percentage split. Maybe you should say 40 isn't bad.
But let me establish
things like your fanboys out there that he only deserves 10%.
I'm not saying that. I've never once said that. And it just like, I don't know, everybody speaks differently. Everybody has their own words. But let me say one more thing, then this needs to be understood, right? Purse splits only matter when it comes down to a purse bid, right? So what they're offering him right now is just a number, X million dollars, right? So they're speculating between them and the lawyers how much money they're going to have together. Then they could establish the split. But the split only comes down to when someone is making a bid. That's it. So right now it's just money.
Yeah, but you know that, again, the A side makes the bid, man. Where you think the money's going to come from?
But did you not hear what I just said, Ness? You just ignored it. Is that not right? Did I not say something factually correct? That splits only matter when purse bids are taking place.
But what are you thinking? You really think that they don't know the amount of money? You think HBO hasn't told Loeffler already? You think they had a date with no site fee? Come on, man.
They don't always know. Well,
Madison Square was on board, so they had a check or at least a number, okay? And HBO was on board, so they had a number. Stop with your lying.
They could estimate in between, but obviously promoters have to take risks and they lose money sometimes.
You think they're going to be negotiating over a percentage of nothing? Let me get to callers, please. Let them tell us their opinion now. Let's get their immediate reaction. 415, I believe this might be Larry from San Francisco, right?
Big ups to the Boxing Voice, Larry from the Bay Area. What's up, y'all? Appreciate the lunchtime show. And class and bounds, no coming on the air and boasting about the barbecue you eat. And I ain't got nothing to eat right now, so keep that to yourself. Hey, quick question. Has there been an offer made to Gennady Jacobs yet in any amount?
None that we know of. All we've been hearing thus far is splits. No number. Except for MD, who's somewhere wait. Let's give MD an opportunity.
There's been adjectives used, not numbers, right?
He did say he read somewhere or a rumor about 1.9. I don't know where he got that.
I heard that. I gotta try to confirm that, but that's what at least the streets say. You know,
that is a legitimate source. Give me a Steve Kim, who's very close to Tom Loeffler, or get me a Ring TV. You know, get me a Boxing Scene, an ESPN. Where are you getting this 1.9 from?
Okay, so I'll just use the Nestor Gibbs exclusive interview from the Boxing Voice. You can go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. The money was an adjective, which was disrespectful.
Yeah, he said they offered me disrespectful money. So now MD is putting those words, and somehow they correlate with 1.9, Larry.
And we don't know what the disrespectful money was.
No one knows. If you see my interview that he's actually referring people to, you're gonna see that I'm all over him like a pit bull trying to get that number, but he ain't giving it up.
Hey, but let me ask you this though: this fight is regular HBO, not pay-per-view, correct?
We don't know.
It seems to be that it's not going to be a pay-per-view fight. That's what at least I see. But again, I'm speculating. So,
and look, the chat is saying that that Steve Kim already said 1.8. Again, I have to read that Steve Kim said it because I would take his word for it, but it seems like a lot of people are saying 1.9.
Okay, so I'm pretty fucking close, and you dismissed that, but it's okay.
Again, because we do not spit rumors. If you're going to be a panelist, find a quote. I mean, find a legitimate quote the way that we all spit quotes here. You can't just pluck things out the air and expect people to believe it. For all I know, these are all the same Triple G fanboys saying 1.9. What do you mean? They got the same they could be trying to pitch the same agenda that most Triple G fans are pitching, that he deserves, to get treated like Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Hey, but not knowing if it's pay-per-view or not knowing what the offer's been, it's hard to make a debate. But let me make this point real quick, then I'm out. Jacobs is tripping, asking for 40%, and here's why. At least Billy Joe Saunders, as much hate as he gets, and rightfully so, at least he's another bodies champion, and at least he holds the keys to Triple G becoming the undisputed champ. He can ask for 40% and have some reason to expect that. Daniel Jacobs is the JV champion, and I got to go with MD on this, who has gotten paid off being the JV champion. But he's got to come with that sanctioning fee when it works for him and when it works against him. That's boxing. That's the way it goes. Appreciate the show. I'm out.
That was great.
Now, that was a great way of putting it. You see that, MD? That, he's got to take it when it works for him.
He said the exact same thing I said. You just didn't like how I said it because it's
in a different way. Yes, I didn't like the way that you said it because in the way that you say it is as if Jacobs has no other alternatives when we both know he could just walk away like Canelo did. 609.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, I love the fact that that Danny's standing his ground because if you think about it, the pressure's on Golovkin because HBO is going to put Golovkin in with who on HBO? It's got to be a notable name. And since Danny is smart enough to hold his ground, they're going to have to come up off that percentage, give that man what he wants because he's not no superstar, but at the same time, he does broadcasting. He's notable, but he's not on that superstar level. So you got to pay that man for his name. You want his name on your resume, you got to pay for it. So I'm not mad at it. I respect it. I'm glad that he's standing his ground, and I hope he holds out for a little longer. And let's see who Triple G fights, and let's see how long he's going to be the golden child. Because if he's not fighting anybody notable, they're going to say, yeah, he's good, but who has fought like this?
I don't want to seem like I'm attacking you, but I don't want to seem like I'm attacking you. But this type of attitude is what's wrong with the sport. Because let's be real here. You're just like, well, they could all drop. They could all. 1 second. I'm like, they could all drop their belts and duck him, but until they pay him enough money to get in the ring with him, they don't have to fight. I mean, this is not how I see the sport of boxing. I'm sorry, man. We think differently. Just how it is.
Am I still on?
You on?
You are on, my friend.
Am I still on?
Yes.
Okay, brother. Yeah, I truly do think his name is big enough to warrant that percentage that he's requesting for. And again, if he doesn't fight Jacobs and Jacobs just holds out or just fights a bunch of other dudes, I don't think he's gonna get too much slack because you want that name on your resume, you gotta pay for it. If he doesn't fight him and the Canelo fight is on hold, what is he gonna do? How is he gonna stay active? So you gotta pay like you weigh. If you want to stay, baby.
They'll have to go. I mean, they had to be creative to get some of these guys in the ring with them. That's why they had to go overseas to get Kell Brook. That's why they had to make the David Lemieux fight pay-per-view. Which the only reason that fight was pay-per-view is because HBO couldn't afford to pay David Lemieux the money that he was asking. I really don't understand why you guys think that Golovkin is this type of diva who's not offering people fair money to get in the ring with him. It is a stupid. It is a stupid stance to take because there's no validity behind it. There's zero.
MD, our caller.
There's no validity on the amount of money, right?
Yes. Caller had a great point. I'm sorry, I don't know your name, caller. But he did say Danny Jacobs ain't a superstar, but Danny Jacobs is a valuable name on the Golovkin resume. and he knows his money's worth. How much?
Yeah, you know, I like what Larry said better, and Larry makes sense, and maybe that's something that Jacobs needs to realize. A unification happens with Billy Joe Saunders, not really with Daniel Jacobs. Now, because Golovkin wants to unify, he's got to address the Jacobs issue because of the WBA mandating all their titles. But at the end of the day, they would probably wait. If he gets in negotiations with Billy Joe Saunders, they would wait because unifications mean more to sanctioning bodies. But like everything on this show, we
don't know.
Don't know. Let me get to 678. You're up.
Hey, it's Milkman.
Oh, Milkman, what up, brother? Let me get that intro.
I told y'all a long time ago, the Kirkland will go down 3 rounds.
Right hand, down goes Kirkland. Strap me up.
Next, I got milk, baby. Yeah, man. Real quick, I want to talk about a couple of things. I was in Q last night, and he left me hanging, man. Wanted to talk about B-Hop, but about this Triple G and Jacobs thing, man. Hey, I'll be honest with you. You know, negotiations are all about offers and counteroffers, so I can respect Jacob not taking the first thing that he was offered. But I'll be honest with you, Jacobs is smoking dope if he thinks he is worth 40%. All right? Now, to put that in perspective, when De La Hoya and Mayweather fought, Mayweather was a pound-for-pound fighter at the time, and he got about 30%, 31%, from what I understand. Perception is everything. The general boxing community perceives GGG as the man at middleweight, all right? So in every fight, you have an A side and a B side. So Jacobs needs to ask himself, how bad does he want it, all right? Because if he believes he can beat Triple G, then I think he should take somewhere between 25 and 30%. If not, then I think they'll both be okay without each other. But there's always an A side and a B side. Can you dig that?
I definitely agree with that. That's the case that I was making. I mean, slightly different. Obviously, you want Jacobs to realize he's the B side. I think that he is the B side. I think that the A side should establish themselves with the legitimate offer so that the B side could either accept or walk away. Listen, if you're listening to this show, regardless of who you're rooting for, everyone should be hitting a thumbs up because Triple G fans are here to argue and Daniel Jacob fans are here to defend.
And the diplomatic people are here to bring clear points.
But to be honest, I think this argument goes
summing up.
I think this argument transcends more than just Triple G fans or Daniel Jacob fans. I think it's this is something that we complain often about boxers and some of the paths that they're taking, and I think this means a lot more. Than just these two guys fighting. It's a lot.
It does mean more, but we can't act as if this particular fight is going to be the one that changes it all for all the other unifications and or negotiations that may or come or not, because every fight is very special in its own, and this is a special case, just like the Povetkin Wilder was a special case, just like Golovkin versus Triple G was a special case, and at a time, even Martinez Chavez, this always happens, dude. The A side is very,
the boss
is the boss, man. They gotta do that. Listen, let's get to some more callers. Keep this ball rolling.
If I was at the club, I balled. Chemo,
what time is it?
What's up, Boxing Voice? How's it going?
Good. Is it lunchtime over there in Dubai?
Supper time, right?
10 o'clock it's 10 o'clock at night, man. This is like my bedtime story.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Yo, man, I can't believe we're going down this fucking rabbit hole again, man. I really thought that we learned from The whole debacle that was Mayweather Pacquiao, where we're stuffing people in fucking corners and putting labels on them and saying, "Oh, you're a fucking Triple G fan. You're a Daniel Jacobs fan." You guys should be fucking rooting for yourselves, man. I do not understand people that talk about deserving when you're the one paying your fucking Showtime and HBO subscriptions and you're getting jack shit on your television screen. But at the same time, you're saying, "Oh, Jacobs deserves 35, Jacobs deserves 40, and GGG deserves this." Yo, get fucking real, man. This going back and forth, this is the same reason why you took shit from those two other guys I just mentioned and paid for their bullshit fights years and years and years, and they got away with it. I do not understand where people are coming from. The way I see it, and most people that talk business here, they want to be fucking managers because you're not in that negotiation room. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And you're talking about splits. I'm asking, what is Jacobs making? Nobody fucking knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what he made his previous fight. Nobody knows what he's going to make in his other fight. But I'll tell you one goddamn thing. Who's the fucking man at middleweight? Golovkin. Who's going to make a shitload of money when they beat the guy? I would say Daniel Jacobs, right? If he beats Golovkin, what is he? Then he's really the miracle man. He's not going to be that fake-ass fucking dude on Showtime with a camera in his face, calling himself the world champion when he just beat up a fucking bum. And this is what you guys are accepting? It's just awful. It's just fucking awful. And I'm not in the camp of Triple G either, if people want to label me that, because that's bullshit. I've called for this guy to move up ages ago because we knew Canelo was going to puss out, right? Fuck, I'd even take Golovkin versus Porky fucking Medina than anybody else. I'd rather see him punch big guys in the face than fucking middleweights that have no business with him being in the ring, man. So I'm not in anybody's camp. But for everybody to sit here and fucking defend certain purse splits and talk about deserving, you're out of fucking control, man. You need to recheck yourself. Seriously. This is the exact same reason that most boxing fans are just getting fucked over by these guys because they're getting away with it. If you have a stake in their purse, i.e. you're a family member or you're their manager, or you're a close friend, maybe I can understand it. But you're not. You're sitting at home or you're sitting in the arena paying your hard-earned money for this bullshit. So anybody that wants to come here and talk about, "Oh, Jacobs deserves this and Gigi deserves that," man, get the fuck out of here.
You know what it is too,
That's
right?
all I'm gonna say.
Chemo, in every sport in the United States, at least, we hear about contracts and offers for athletes. You hear what A-Rod got, what Derek Jeter got, what LeBron James gets, what, it keeps going on, and you're like, oh, whoa. So that's part of the sport conversation in sports general. So it's a per fight basis. So they like to argue about money.
But Enrique, you know what the difference is? In the NBA, I don't need to fucking ask myself, are the Knicks going to play the Bulls next time? Because they will. Right. It's the same with the NFL. It's the same with the NHL. It's the same with baseball. We get the same fucking quality every single time. Ness was just on saying, "Oh, they're going to walk away," just like everybody else, as if you're fucking fine with it. You know what I mean? Like, how is that okay?
No. Don't misinterpret my words. Just because I'm telling you what's going to happen doesn't mean I'm okay with it. But isn't this the world that we live in? Aren't these fighters ducking? Aren't these fighters dropping titles? I mean, this is happening. So for me to say it makes me okay, or doesn't it make me at least, my eyes are open. There's no fog. I know what's to come. I seen Peter Quillen do it, right? We seen Canelo, who's a superstar. He's the biggest he is the face of boxing, because regardless of what you guys say, he ducked the belt, and 51,000. I don't care if they sold him for $5. 51,000 got out of their house, drove, and got to that stadium, and then another 300,000 bought the pay-per-view. He is a star without a belt. Ducking, no ducking, sanctioning fees, it didn't matter then.
Because he's got fucking star appeal, because he draws in the casuals. But we are no fucking casuals, are we, Ness? I get your point. You're being realistic. And I think that's, on one hand, that is fair. But on the other hand, we got to be fucking critical. And we gotta remember why we got into this goddamn sport in the first place. I didn't get into this sport to talk about fucking purse splits. Yeah, I got into this sport because I want to see a guy like Jacobs, who has a story which I could like, come up, go for the fucking glory, and beat the fucking so-called boogeyman of the middleweight division.
So
that's what I want to see.
How do you become critical of this without dissecting the negotiations? I don't understand because
he's disagreeing with the rules that have been established. This is the only reason we're talking about purse splits and purses, because the organization that he chose to fight for, he disagrees with it. So he thinks he's worth more money. This is not like Golovkin versus Daniel Jacobs. This is Daniel Jacobs believing that the rules should be made around him when in fact they shouldn't be. It's different. This is not one versus the other. I just don't really see it that way. And I agree, not everything what Kimo is saying, but I agree the notion in the sense that, you know, it has to be reasonable. But again, I don't give a fuck how much these guys are making. When I see a guy is fighting on TV for a money grab, I say that, and I'm not willing to watch that. I mean, this is why we do this shit as a boxing voice, because we're not a propaganda machine, and we're educated boxing fans, and we say what we feel about it.
MD, a guy that doesn't give a fuck would be saying, yo, why don't they just give him 40%?
Because
you're saying he doesn't deserve it. You're saying he's delusional. So you're just as critical as me. You fall in the same category that Kimo was talking about, as do I.
That's not true, because the rules, no, because I'm saying, because it's not the belt that he chose to fight for, he know these rules. Like Ness, it's not the same thing. I'm sorry. It really is not the same thing. He knew that this was going to happen, but he decided to like pretend it wasn't, and now they think they're worth more. Like,
that's the point, MD. He didn't know this was going to happen. He didn't know that he was going to be charged a certain percentage, and then when the negotiations comes for champions to negotiate, he's going to be dictated the challenger's purse. Okay, in the WBA, the champion receives 75, the challenger 25.
But you agree with what JP said? Because that's exactly what I said.
What did JP say?
That he was using that belt as the legitimate, as the world champion, which is why, like Kimo said, we had to accept this shit as Ness, let's not pretend that you were mocking. You know, the funny thing is, I remember this guy, you go, oh, you're the only Danny Jacobs fan I ever knew. You know, Danny Jacobs fan. I forgot the name of the caller, right? Because he had no fucking fans. Okay. He had no fans.
What does that have to do with any? You see what I'm saying? That Kimo is talking about
because you're
not talking about the fight. You're talking about his popularity. You're talking about what he deserves.
So why is this fight not happening?
You're not talking about
why is this fight not happening?
Let's get to callers, MD.
No. Tell me why this fight's not happening, Ness.
Let's ask the callers why.
Kimo, is he still there? Go back to Kimo for a second. I just want to ask his opinion about this. Why is this fight not happening?
Look, man, again, all of this is mostly hearsay because nobody knows the absolute amounts that were offered, right? I mean, if I look at me personally, I wouldn't necessarily care as much about a percentage as the absolute fucking money I'm going to make, right? And this is a debate. You're discussing economics, which can be subjective, which is not factual. But here's a fucking fact. The man at middleweight is Golovkin. And a guy, and I want to remind you, Ines, of a very good interview that you did with Daniel Jacobs when he was feeling a little bit, put under pressure when you called him out on his bullshit. And you're basically saying, okay, you got this miracle man, thing that you're going with. How long are we going to endure this before you actually fucking fight somebody? And then he holds up a fucking belt on Showtime and calls himself, I'm the world champ. No, you're not the fucking world champ. And you might say I'm unrealistic because I don't take into account that there's more belts or whatever. I don't give a flying fuck. I'm a boxing fan, and to me, the champion is Golovkin. Regardless of whether you don't like his resume, regardless of whether you don't like the fucking color of his skin, I don't give a shit. He's the fucking middleweight champ. Jacobs, like you say, is the challenger, and he should fucking go out and take the goddamn challenge.
But what
does that mean?
That is the technicality. He's not the challenger. He is not the challenger, though, is he?
He is.
That is no. That is the technicality you guys don't want to see. The WBA created that. He is called a champion. He has a title. There is a purse fee and a sanctioning fee for that. So now how all of a sudden he becomes the challenger in the split? No, sir. No, that's not the way that it works.
He's hoisting the WBA, Ness.
That's
he's
right.
Hoisting
as
the
a
WBA.
champion.
So he goes
as
by
a
their
champion.
fucking rules.
As a
he
champion.
made his money off that
He's
belt.
Hoisting
he
the
made
belt.
His money off
He's
that
hoisting
belt.
the belt as a champion.
Yo,
He's
yelling
hoisting
over
it
me
as
isn't
a
going to
champion.
change it.
No.
Yelling over
and
me
you
isn't going to fucking
and you
change
saying
it.
that he's a challenger isn't going to change it because he is a champion. That's why he's being charged the 75%. That's why he's being charged the sanctioning fee. So he deserves his 75% as the champion.
He's not the fucking champion. Are you fucking retarded?
Dude, he is a champion. WBA
He's a belt
created.
holder. He's a belt holder.
Dude, I can't go back and forth with you, man. Listen, go read the WBA sanctioning bodies. There's 3 belts: super, regular, interim. All I got to say. We'll get to some other callers. Anonymous, talk to me.
Suleiman?
562, you're up.
Hey, it's Matt. What's up, Ness?
What up,
MD?
brother?
What up?
I just wanted to go over some facts because, you guys have been arguing about just subjective shit for the past while. Loeffler and Andre Rozier both say that the fight's being delayed due to training, and the WBA is just a little bit of a holdup. I don't really think this fight is off, like the Anthony Joshua, Vladimir Klitschko fight. Like, that fight probably to me is not going to happen. Like, that fight's not going to be the next one for either of those guys. I think this fight is going to be the next one for both of them. It's just going to be probably like around March, February. I don't. When I heard this news, I wasn't like super shocked. I just was kind of bummed. At the end of the year, we were supposed to have Vladimir Klitschko, Anthony Joshua, Gennady Golovkin, Daniel Jacobs, Toledo versus Murrah, and now we get Bernard Hopkins versus Joe Smith Jr. So I mean, it's just another day in boxing, I guess. Just another storyline.
Yeah, but Matt, let me ask you a question. Why do we have to wait?
Yeah, go.
Why do we have to wait like so long? I guess 7 months or whatever from their last fight to see a fight that we all should happen. I mean, like, what is up with this waiting game to fight? I mean, if they're going to be making, about the same money, I mean, what's going to change in a few months? I just don't understand why it's always waiting and waiting and waiting. And I know this is, I guess, as a fan bitching.
Negotiations, brother.
No, yeah. I don't even think it's that. Because I think Gennady Golovkin and Tom Loeffler are totally okay with giving him 40%. I've heard, probably the same rumors that you heard, MD, about like an $8 million pot and 1.9 or 1.8 million to Jacobs, which is actually wrong mathematically. It's actually 2 million. It is 25%. And I think, and then at 40%, I think 3,200,000, which is, I think, totally within the realm of possibility. I think is fair to get this fight going if those numbers are correct. And again, those are rumors. Those aren't facts. Those are rumors. But I think anywhere between 2 million and 3.2 million is fair for Jacobs. And again, we were saying the word fair, like that is a word that matters in boxing. These fighters don't have a CBA. These fighters don't have a union to protect them. These fighters don't get 50% of the profits. So what are we even talking about fair? These fighters get screwed on the daily anyways. So I just want to see guys fight for championships. The 1 and 2 guys in the division make good money. And as long as they make good money, I don't give a shit what the percentage is. And I don't think we should either. We just want the fight to happen. And yeah, I want it to be in December. But if that's too close for Jacobs' team or too close for Loeffler, because they both say the same thing. They both say it's too close. One just says training and one says proper build. One does the Mayweather tactic of, oh, this just needs to marinate more. And that's Tom Loeffler. So, and that's common A-side tactic. So, again, it's not like this fight's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen in December. It's going to happen in March.
Yep, yeah, but didn't Tom Loeffler also say, again, too, that they have the 75-25 in their pocket? So, I mean, I guess you could also even you give the devil's advocate argument that waiting, I guess, eventually leads to that purse bid, which will benefit K2 financially. Like that's also something that he said publicly. So it's important to note.
Yeah, but again, I think you don't want to go to purse bid because if, let's say, theoretically, PBC side, Al Heyman or whoever wins that, right? They get to decide where that bout is televised. So let's say that, and Steven Espinoza has been on the record saying that he wants to pursue that fight aggressively. So if they win the purse bid and they say the fight's on Showtime, Gennady Golovkin has that exclusive deal with HBO. He can't take that fight. Gennady Golovkin has to vacate. You know, I'm just saying, like, purse bid is not necessarily what either camp wants to go to, because one side will only get 25%, and one side potentially can't take the fight because of a network deal. You know, are we forgetting that?
Yep, and yes, thank you for calling in, and I appreciate your input. But Ness, the second Gennady Golovkin vacates a belt due to contract, I will be the first one to criticize him. I will be the first one to criticize him because I have to be consistent with my statements. Okay, so do you hear that?
Yeah, no problem.
Hey,
Matt.
One quick thing there.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Do the sanctioning fees? Do the sanctioning bodies charge fighters fees every time they fight if they're not the title holder, they're not the champion?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, okay.
Now the fees are smaller though, but I don't. The fees are obviously higher if you're a belt holder and if you're just a bigger name. Like Floyd Mayweather's sanctioning fee was what, 300-something thousand. You know, Gennady Golovkin's fees aren't that. Obviously, that would be outrageous. So the fee itself is a subjective, arbitrary number that the sanctioning body can really decide on a whim. Like the sanctioning body can decide right now that it's 60-40. Like that's just the thing they have decided. It's not something that's set in stone. The sanctioning body is completely within their power to change that number on a whim. I just want to say one quick thing about vacating the belts, because you Ness, talking about Jacobs can just vacate and it's kind of like no big deal. But Canelo took a big hit when he vacated. You know, remember that video of him in I think it was at the Margarito fight, fighting his little brother or whatever? And all the Mexican fans were just, you know, yelling at him, calling him a coward and a duck and stuff. You know, like that hurt his brand, whether you want to admit it or not. And I think Quillen, when he vacated the belt, hurt his brand as well. It took a long time for Quillen to come back. And then when he fought Andy Lee for the belt he vacated and ended in a draw, I think that again hurt his stock. So, yeah, Jacobs or even Golovkin can vacate the belt and avoid this fight completely. Like that's within their realm of power as well. But it will hurt their stock no matter what. They will be called a duck, whether we agree with it or not. The boxing community as a whole will call that a duck, period.
Yeah, you're right.
Duck, just like we call Krillin a duck.
You're right, but numbers don't lie, right? And based off pay-per-view numbers, the hit that he took was about 25 to 45,000 fans that didn't buy his pay-per-view. He took no hit. 51,000 people still showed up. I don't care who wants to do math about demographics and the town and all that shit, because 51,000 ain't showing up for everybody. They show up, 60 show up for Vladimir, and 51 showed up for Canelo, 20 showed up for Gennady, but all these things are anomalies. So let's stop acting like this just happens. So you're right. Maybe he took a dip.
But it maybe also retarded his exponential growth that we all assumed that it was going to happen after the Cotto fight.
Sure, brother. Sure.
No, how is that like stupid to say?
It retarded his growth so much. It retarded his growth so much that Gennady Golovkin wants.
Why do you have to bring up Gennady Golovkin's name? I'm just saying that.
That is the point. He's still popular to Golovkin. He's still popular to Golovkin.
Of course, he's the #1 Mexican fighter, but like what Matt said, to ignore the fact that he took no hit, I think is also very incorrect.
I just showed you the hit. His paper. We go over this every episode. I don't get it. You guys want to keep discrediting Canelo. His numbers don't lie. You could say what you want as hardcores. Listen. Wait a minute. I'll let you speak. I'll let you speak, man.
You get what I'm saying?
I'll let you speak. As hardcores, you could discredit what you want. You could call them what you want, but you got to remember, you are a hardcore. You're listening to a boxing podcast at 2:20 in the afternoon. You're a hardcore. Casuals, they don't give a fuck what you say or what belt Canelo didn't bring into the ring today. And numbers prove that. You can say whatever you want. the numbers don't lie. Matt, let me get to some other caller. I'll try and come back to you.
Okay.
832, talk to me. 832.
Whoa!
NO, what's going on?
Ain't nothing, man. Ain't nothing, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm driving on the road. You hear me? I'm on 80 a day going eastbound, man. I see they got a show pop, and I'm like, man, hold up, man. We pull a truck over. You hear me?
Honk that horn.
Man, so. Nah, I can't honk the horn right here.
Damn, second day in a row, Ness trying to get people fired, man.
No, none of our truck drivers want to honk the horn. None of the truck drivers.
Nah, bro, I mean, you know, it's a time and a place for that. You know, I normally do it, but like we ain't gonna do that right now. You know what I'm saying? But look, what I'm hearing, the fight not happening, or we still in negotiations? What's up?
It's not happening for sure this year, but they're looking at 2017. They're still in negotiations. They're all positive, both sides, as of Loeffler, because even though these callers want to call in and say Jacobs is ducking, Tom Loeffler says Jacobs still wants to fight. They're in negotiations.
But again, what is Tom Loeffler going to be disrespectful to Danny Jacobs when they're still trying to make a fight happen? Of course he's going to be cordial like any businessman does with another businessman. But continue.
Yeah, I can see that because you're not going to take the Kathy Groover approach. You know, she almost stuck her foot in her ass. So, yeah, I can see him not taking that route. But
I wish I had coins. That was a good point.
Man, they could give him a little bit. They could give him a little bit more than 25%, bro. For what I'm looking at, bro, what's going on? Because it's like, who either person gonna fight? Like, it's either, you know, both of them have like bargaining chips because Billy Joe he tied up. Canelo he don't want to fight a middleweight. So I mean, who's left out there? Maybe yeah, I forgot the guy's name, man. Eubank, man. Maybe I don't know. I think he got to fight up. So I ain't nobody else out there. Either way, they gonna be fighting a bum. You know what I'm saying? It's not a bum, a no-name top 10 guy who don't nobody care about. So, man, they got to get this shit done, man. I really wanted to see this fight, man. I thought we were going to end the year all right. Now I'm hearing this bullshit, man. I don't know what to think about this and that, bro. You know what I'm saying? They can give him a little bit more than 25%, man. Tom Loeffler don't got to step up, but they can't let that fight fall. You know what I'm saying? It's up to them, brother, come with the next off. At least come with 30. Like, see what he say about 30. If that don't work, you know what I'm saying? Well, maybe look, 32%, something. You know what I'm saying? It seems like the dudes, they want more than 25%, which is understandable. So, man, they can't let this fight go. They can't let this fight go by the wayside, man, because who else they going to fight? Ain't nobody else out there. MD, somebody said someone else out there.
Cut it.
Billy Joe Saunders is out there. We're going to get to the Skype machine. Let me get to Coach Mitty. Coach, you talking today?
Yeah. Hello, Ness. Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
All right. Yeah, just like thanks for the call for the show, man. That's amazing. You guys put on shows every day, more than once a day, man. As for the topic today, you know, this is the business side of things, and to be honest, I'm just listening to other people's opinion. But I'm not too interested in the business side of things. Like I want to see them fight, and I think I heard you guys saying that the fight is still on, possibly for 2017. So I'm hoping that this happens, and I'm hoping that we get to speak about boxing rather than business. That's all, man. But thanks for all the shows, and keep it up, man.
All right, brother.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's something that Ness and I 1,000,000% agree with.
Muhammad, talk to me.
Yo, what's up, Ness? What's up, MD?
What up?
What's up?
Yo, listen, I understand the business side, but you know, Jacobs has to get more than 25%. This might be his biggest fight. So I'm guessing they could do like 30-70 or 35-65 and have the fight going. But I heard that Andre Rozier, you know, Jacobs' trainer, said that they don't have enough time anyway, because they need like a full camp. So it's not gonna happen, even if they agree on the money. And that's it. that's a shame because I was looking forward to them fights. Now we have the Klitschko Joshua is off or almost off, and then we have this one off. So we only have like 2 fights in November or 3. That's it. So that's not.
Do we still have Lomachenko Walters, right? I mean, that's a great fight.
We got 3 big fights in November, but we got a few others. I mean, we got to talk heavily about Magdaleno, Nonito Donaire, Magdaleno stepping.
Yes.
Mohammed, let me get to some other callers if you're done.
All right, man.
Are you done? You sure?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, brother. Thanks for calling in, man. Man, I wonder if this 310 is JP from Long Beach. I don't know. But you can never go wrong with some Tupac, right?
Long Beach in the house. Yeah.
310, talk to us.
Yo, it ain't no show without info.
Oh,
Yo, what
man,
up,
info, what up?
MP? What up, Central?
What's
Hey, I'm
going
gonna be
on?
brief. I think it's a step-up fight for both fighters. I hate the business side of it. I really wanted to see this fight. I'm disappointed. I was picking Jacobs to beat Triple G, but if they offer him 30%, I would say Jacobs take the fight. Because if you win, you can write your own ticket. MD, don't duck me, son. You can pie November 19th. I hope the bet is still on.
It is definitely still on.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hey, Ness, I don't see where you can buy the tickets.
It's on the website now.
I don't see it
Yeah.
anywhere.
No. Go to the website now. My developer just he just put it. There's a big sign says TBV appreciation tickets right on the front.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Just go to
Jacobs, if
TheBoxingvoice.com.
you listening, take the fight, man. If they offer you 30%, bruh, you can beat this dude. I'm out, fellas. Peace.
All right. And just to go back to an earlier argument that we had, yeah, Jacobs got knocked the fuck out by an undefeated, heavily touted, contender at the time that is still undefeated, never has come back, but no one at the time questioned him or after, and he was supposed to fight Golovkin September 12, 2012.
But isn't it also true that an unmotivated, I could also argue, isn't it also true that an unmotivated Peter Quillen was the only person that he fought of note after that fight? It's not like he has it's not like he has the Martin Murrays.
Unmotivated would be clearly speculation, but let's just go to 504.
Hello? Yeah, okay. This is Josh calling from New Orleans again. I want to get back to the call of Chemo when he made a response about us not being involved in purse bids. Casual or fan, and I'm a diehard fan. I consider myself very knowledgeable in sport. That's what it is nowadays. We all are part of the negotiations because it's put out there in the world for us to know. And boxing is prize fighting, so the boxers deserve the prize that they should get for the fight. For Golovkin and Danny Jacobs, now the 160 class ain't heavily talented, regardless to what anybody want to mention. BJ Saunders and Danny Jacobs, so they don't have that much talent. But Danny Jacobs is one of the top 160 pounds in the world right now. So that 75-25, he deserves a little more than that. He shouldn't be getting paid just the bare minimum, with Golovkin only making probably about 10 or 8 million. And he's not a big time, he's not getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars so he can live the rest of his life off of 25%. So Danny Jacobs got a point with deserving more than 25% in this fight, because the purse bid is not going to be a big number. I honestly believe Golovkin and his team use a lot of things and political things to try to keep him out of certain situations. So I honestly believe the 25% is a duck on his part, because every time a good fight comes up, it's always a reason why they can't get him in the ring, but nobody wants to fight him.
Can you state
on his resume, because he's at the point to where who he's going to fight.
Sorry to interrupt you, caller, but can you state in a situation that Golovkin's team has used politics to get himself out of a situation?
Okay, yes, I can explain on it. I believe from looking at what they do nowadays, he used politics and boxing to get himself out of situations. They're saying that nobody wants to fight him, and all that. It's money being brought into the situation too that's never getting mentioned, but we're talking about it this time. Offering Danny Jacobs at 25% is another way of saying, look, I know you're not going to accept that fight, and we're going to say Danny Jacobs is ducking him because he don't want to take that risk. But everybody got an opinion on what he should and should not make, but he's a boxer. He deserves to, if this is going to be the biggest fight of his career, to get paid for it, because if Golovkin knocks Danny Jacobs up, he is done. So he deserved that 40% if he's taking on the so-called powerful pound, top name in the sport, and he deserved it. So we can't say what he should not get or what he should not take and just throw the man in the ring and then that's it. Because if he loses to Golovkin, that's it for Danny Jacobs. And I'm going back on Golovkin with his political point and his team. They know how to use these things to his advantage.
See, I disagree with a lot of things you said, but like what I do appreciate is you explain that point, and that's all we ask for here is for people to, you know, bring their boxing knowledge and, you know, come to debate. So thanks, man. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, well, I asked for a lot more, like thumbs up. I don't understand. Everybody loves the topic. They love that they have a place to come talk about it and argue with each other in the chat, yet we don't see the amount of thumbs up equating. It just doesn't make any sense. Let me get to 929. You're up.
Yo.
Sir. Talk to
Hello?
us. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I just want to mention on the whole situation with Danny Jacobs. Do we know what number is going out there? Because, like, for instance, if HBO only has a certain amount of budget, and if I could recall, they don't really give up but so much money for a Triple G fight. And y'all want people, Danny Jacobs, to take 25% of, say, $3 million budget that HBO is putting up is ridiculous.
No. When it goes to a purse bid, both sides have an opportunity to win that purse bid. So essentially, his side has an equal opportunity to outbid HBO's side.
That's if it goes to a purse bid, but you saying that to avoid, like, for instance, people are complaining about Jacobs not wanting to fight because he didn't agree to a December 10th date, which is something that Triple G's team wants, HBO time, which is something that Triple G's team wants, and then all of a sudden it's Danny Jacobs not willing to negotiate when he's willing, and it seems as if he's willing to negotiate, and Triple G's side is standing firm on, we want it on HBO, we want a certain amount, and we're not going to pay you more than this. You know, like, I don't think that PBC is going to really try to outbid HBO as far as that is concerned. But, you know, everybody knows in boxing, everybody's trying to marinate fights. And they just started talking about this after Jacobs beat Quillen. So it hasn't even been a complete year between the matchups. And half of that year, people was trying to get Triple G to fight Canelo. So the build-up for a Jacobs fight it's not even there yet. So, you know, y'all want him to hurry up and get in the ring after 2 months, and he wants to get paid. Y'all saying he doesn't deserve that amount of money, but he's trying to promote the fight so he can get that amount of money. You know, he's a cancer survivor. He got that whole big story. This is also another thing. Triple G having Jacobs on his on his record is a great thing. True indeed. It's the second best middleweight fight. Everybody agrees with that. So why isn't that fight being like prodded towards a pay-per-view thing? Both sides could get money. They reported that Canelo fight that he just had with Liam Smith did 300K buys with a gross of 20 million. So if 300 could get you a gross of 20 million, I don't see why they don't try to push that on the pay-per-view. I'm pretty sure Danny Jacobs wouldn't be mad with 25% of 20 million. You know, it's a way of negotiating. If one side stands firm, which it appears on the outside, K2 is standing firm on their thing. We don't want it off of HBO. We don't want to change the percentage. You know, Danny Jacobs can fight on other networks. He can fight other places. Triple G is the one that has exclusive workings with on his side. He can't go to Showtime or the PBC or the Fox or NBC. Danny Jacobs can fight on other networks and stuff like that. So Triple G being the limited person,
cut it.
801, talk to us. Good call, 929, but we do have a time limit.
Yo.
801, talk to us.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm first time caller.
All right, brother. How long you been listening?
About 2 years now. First time I ever been able to get through.
Damn, 2 years. So you know the tradition. I'm gonna go ahead and play this intro. You better come out swinging.
Ladies and gentlemen, making his professional debut
out in Utah, Steve. Yo, what's up? What's up?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Steve? So, how did you first hear about the show?
Oh, just going up on YouTube and stuff like that. I've seen a little bit here, and I decided to listen to you guys. So I've just been listening for the last 2 years. First time able to get through.
That's amazing, brother. I just want to thank you first and foremost, man, for listening for so long. I'm glad you got in, man. So talk to us now.
No doubt, no doubt. So my thing is I agree with a lot of people. I disagree with a lot of people. But my thing is Jacobs does deserve more than 25, you know, and it should be on pay-per-view. I think they could do better than Canelo's last fight. So, and if Jacobs loses, then a lot of his stock goes way down. So he's got to cash in right now. You know what I mean?
Definitely agree.
So to me, a lot of people want to hate on Triple G. A lot of people want to hate on Jacobs. But at the end of the day, both these guys are fighters, and they got to make their money when they can. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. That's something MD doesn't agree on.
That is not true. That is not.
Yeah.
Missing. Nope. Never said that. Ness loves to manipulate my statements, like a lot of other people do, but it's okay. But you know, but I appreciate you calling in on this lunchtime. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go. Oh, I was just gonna say it is what it is. You know, people got their opinions. That's part of why I like the show. You guys let people express their opinions.
Now, Steve, you say you're from Utah, right?
Yeah, I live there. I'm not from Utah, but I live there.
Okay. No, I just want to know, you know, for the next time we call, next time you call in, we're gonna address you as Steve from Utah.
Do you ski? Do you like the skiing out there, like the canyons and whatnot?
No. It's Hoosteen, Hoosteen. It's Spanish for Justin.
Oh, that's cool. My son's name is Justin. Look at that.
Yeah, my grandma and grandpa used to call me Hoosteen all the time, so I kind of use it as a little nickname.
All right.
But you guys are going to Kovalev World, I heard?
Yes, sir, brother. We're going to have another TBV appreciation night. I don't know. I hope you watched the first one on YouTube. So we're going to be doing one on the West Coast. We got ourselves a big boy mansion. We got ourselves a bunch of fighters and trainers coming out. It's going to be one heck of a party, little drinks, little food. You know,
yeah, I've already got my tickets for that fight. I already got my tickets in my room already set up down there.
Oh, so, man, well, you need to head on.
Having it in Vegas, right?
In Vegas, brother. You need to head on over to the website and get your tickets for the night, the TBV appreciation night. Listen, I'm gonna get to some other callers. Who's Sting? That's gonna be awesome. I hope you call back in. That's awesome. Who's Sting? I never used it in Spanish. Let's get to the magic Skype machine. We got Russell Pelt or Petit.
Yo, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, brother.
Can you hear me, Ness?
Loud and clear.
Okay, yeah, it's pronounced Pettit. Anyways, you know, the funny thing about all this is that if, you know, Jacob, I like him. He seems like a great guy. He seems like he's a good guy. I feel the PBC has not done enough promoting for Jacobs as well as Jacob. But if you really look at it, Jacobs, when is Jacobs sold out at any fight?
So we're arguing his marketability, or we're having an immediate reaction to this fight not happening this year. I mean, are we arguing the marketability of Jacobs, how much he deserves, or is this an immediate reaction to not getting this fight this year?
He's painting a picture possibly for his statement, so you kind of have to let him, you know, have his say.
As far as the split, 25 to 30% to me would be fine. Jacobs has not had a sellout anywhere. His last fight was in Pennsylvania. Now, we're just going to look at things of why when we talk about cash cows and A-sides. Gennady Golovkin has had 3 straight sellouts. He has 3 belts. His fights are shown in 100+ countries. He's been on pay-per-view in England and here. He versed top 10 middleweights. Ring rank. Now, I've been following Golovkin a long time. Some people won't probably remember this, but Macklin, Deal, Murray, Lemieux were all top 5 ring-rated middleweights when he fought them. Stevens and Rubio were top 10. He's 6-0 with all KOs. Jacobs
did you forget that the ring had Kelbrook at number 1?
Well, you're talking about his last fight at middleweight?
No, at welterweight. He was number 1 at welterweight.
Oh, no, I'm just talking about middleweight because.
So, and wait, Ness, you're saying that after his Sean Porter win, he shouldn't have been number 1?
Hell no.
I'm not even talking about the Brook fight. I'm talking about middleweights.
No, I know you're not. I'm just bringing note to those rankings that you're choosing to use. Those rankings, let me tell you something. Wait a minute. Those rankings, when Canelo wanted to make a fight with Amir Khan, all of a sudden Amir Khan was ranked as well. Like, those rankings don't work,
WBC. Bro. Well, no. You're talking about the WBC.
No. I'm talking about the ring. The ring.
All I gotta say is Golovkin is 6-0 versus top 10 middleweights. Danny Jacobs is 1-1 with a KO loss.
And your point is what?
Golovkin's overall resume is better. He's the bigger name. He sells out arenas. He's the cash guy.
And what is your point that you're trying to make? We've all agreed that Danny is the B side. You do understand that, right?
Right. I haven't heard the whole show. I was in class. But the thing is I think 40% is too much because he just doesn't bring a market value to warrant that. That's in my opinion. I think 30%, 25%, if they can negotiate more than that, I think that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I just think that asking for 40% makes negotiations really hard. And I don't think that the Jacobs has that kind of worth. I mean, in his last fight in Pennsylvania, the place was really empty when people left. Even the Peter Quillen fight wasn't even half full.
So why do you think Golovkin wants to fight him? Why not vacate that title the way Tyson Fury did when Tyson Fury deemed Glasscoff unworthy?
Well, wait. Didn't the WBA?
Why is everybody cutting me off now that I'm making a point?
Go ahead.
Because the minute that Tyson Fury felt that Glasscoff was not worthy, he said, fuck the WBA and moved on. So now you want Triple G to defend the WBA belt and negotiate with guys that are being, I don't know, unrealistic is the words you guys like to use. So why not drop that fucking belt and move on? Why are you still trying to deal with a dude that doesn't sell out crowds, doesn't bring anything to the table, economically isn't going to add to the fight, and he's really not a star because his biggest win is on Peter Quillen. Before that, he hadn't beat anybody. He got knocked out. So why the hell are we fighting this guy?
It's all he wants to have all the belts, Ness, so he has to honor his mandatory.
He already has the belt, my friend. Why doesn't he get a negotiation with Billy Joe Saunders? And I'm sure if Billy Joe Saunders and Golovkin make a fight, I am 1,000% sure, just like every sanctioning body before us, and history has proven it, they would agree to Golovkin not negotiating with Daniel Jacobs right now while he unifies. Why doesn't he go? Billy Joe Saunders is not fighting. He's off of that
Billy
fight.
Joe Saunders is injured and pulled out of another fight because he's taking his career so seriously.
Yeah, because he wants that money. He would rather fight Golovkin.
But so he should drop belts because these guys want their money.
When Golovkin was in negotiation with Billy Joe Saunders, do you know that the amount of money was $4 million?
Well, he has also, that's unfortunately the WBL regular title.
Exactly, Russell, but that's what I'm saying. Exactly. So why not go negotiate with that guy? It's bigger. You just did a pay-per-view in the UK and you did 400,000. Go back to the UK.
Well, didn't the WBA also mandate this fight? So I don't think Golovkin's been consistent with not dropping the belts, like I said. So until he drops a belt, I could at least say that the belts do matter to him. Now, of course, Ness is going to bring 1 second. Now, of course, Ness is going to bring up that Kell Brook fight. And again, that fight was bullshit, and I was not happy with it. And it was a money grab for both fighters. So, I'm not happy with that. But it's not Rod Salka, so continue.
Yeah. When Golovkin fights Rod Salka, it's okay, because
I just said it's not Rod Salka, and you just go when he fights Rod Salka, it's continuing.
No, it is okay.
Yes. Can I speak? Take this back. Look, the WBA has mandated, they're mandatory. If Golovkin doesn't fight with Jacobs, he will get stripped of his title. So then he cannot complete his goal. The Brook fight was all caused by Eubank Sr. We all know that. We've seen the interview with Frank Warren about how that guy. So that's what it is.
Brother, you see it one way, I see it another way. Tyson Fury, he knew he was the man. Why? Why did the belts not mean anything to Tyson Fury? Because he did what?
He beat the guy that had all the belts. He beat Klitschko.
And who's the guy in the middleweight division that has all the belts?
Well, there's two. Gennady's got 3 of them. He's got 1 to go.
But he's asking who's the man, and I think you would agree that it's Golovkin.
Exactly. Exactly. So he can do the same thing that Tyson. Gennady is more adored than Tyson Fury.
Now, it would be the same thing if Daniel Jacobs. 1 second. It would be the same thing if Daniel Jacobs beat Golovkin and then decided to rematch him and drop a belt because they were mandating him fighting some Alfonso Blanco, for example. That would be the same thing. But that's a fair comparison.
Dude, listen. This is the same comparison. You know why? Because everyone here knows that in the WBA, the true champion is Gennady Golovkin. This would be the best time, if the only time, for a champion to say, I'm not even fighting that dude. You making me negotiate with a dude that's not really the champion. I am the super champion. Now, if this dude doesn't want to fucking take the 25% that you guys mandated, I'm moving on. I'm giving up this belt, and I'm going to go fight Billy Joe Saunders for a real belt. Why are you making excuses, dog? It's the truth.
It's not an excuse, Ness. If he drops the belt, they're going to say that he ducked Jacobs. Number 1. Number 2,
Russell, who is going to say that? You are too intelligent. You see right now that Jacobs lobbied for 40%. He did not. Did he not lobby?
GGG Brigade's going to do that. It's going to be all over. You're going to hear.
Can you imagine if Golovkin dropped the belt to avoid a fight, Ness? Come on, you sound really ridiculous right now.
And Boxing MD, did Jacobs not lobby to get 40%?
Yes, he did, and he got turned down.
No, listen, please. One word answer so we can get through this. He lobbied to get 40%, but what are the rules?
75-25.
Okay, so isn't that one sign right there that he doesn't want to negotiate?
Who doesn't want to negotiate?
Jacobs.
I guess, yeah.
Okay, okay. Now, doesn't Golovkin have a date, or did, until today, they were sticking to December 10th, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that means Golovkin already had a date. He already had a venue, too. What was the venue? Russell, help me out.
MSG.
Okay, so again, they've been negotiating. Jacobs doesn't want to negotiate. He's not the real champion. Every caller that calls in here says this guy's a paper champion. He's a fake champion. He's only the regular champion. Why are we waiting for this guy? Why are you making it okay? Golovkin, no one intelligent, okay?
Because it's a big opportunity for 2 prize fighters. What don't you see in that?
Smart MD and know that no one is going to say Golovkin dug Jacobs. No one. Are you going to go on record and say
I will guarantee you that people would not say that, Ness. I guarantee you that people would say that he ducked Jacobs. The fact that people actually think that he would beat him, and if you drop the belt not to fight him, people will say that he ducked Jacobs. When has Golovkin dropped the belt to avoid a fight? He would be hypocritical as fuck if he did that. And I'd be the first one to say that. He has not done that.
I don't understand. I just gave you guys your same arguments. All the reasons you said Jacobs doesn't deserve 25%, I just gave them to you. You agreed. So why are you negotiating with him?
I just
Mando, Ness. If he wants to keep the belt, he has to fight him. It's that simple.
But he doesn't need it. We'd established that. Tyson Fury didn't need it because he was the man. Golovkin
He
doesn't
wants
need
all
it.
the belts, Ness. If he wants to get all the belts,
Okay,
he
so
has to
Russell,
face
so then you tell me, what do we do now? What do we do?
We have to wait and see what happens. What else is there to do?
No,
we can't.
No, that's not what we have to do. Golovkin has to offer more. He can't have his cake and eat it too, dog. Obviously, if someone doesn't want to negotiate and he has all these things lined up, he either can negotiate or walk away. Just walk away.
Well, he stops and walked away. And I did say 30% would be fine. So, I mean, again, we'll have to see how it plays out, Ness. But
exactly.
I'm just saying.
Exactly. You guys don't want negotiations. You guys don't want to go. You want the B side to say, I'm going to fight Golovkin at all costs. Because you have to, too. Because he's obviously not. I mean, according to everyone that calls here, he's ducking the fight. All these antics that he's doing are signs pointing to him not wanting to fight Golovkin. So let's move on.
I never said, and you know the thing is, this is ridiculous. One second, caller. I never said that Gennady Jacobs was ducking the fight, but I did establish the fact that he's being ridiculous to an extent in the negotiation. I guess tactics. Now, when he drops the belt, 1 second. Now, when he drops the belt to avoid the fight, then I would say that he's ducking the fight.
Yep. Nobody's dropped any belts yet. They're still negotiating.
I never once said that you said he ducked. I repeatedly keep repeating that the callers and the people that call in here are giving these excuses as to why Jacobs doesn't deserve it, why he's not an A side, why he should take whatever Golovkin is offering him, but we see that he's not. So why are we waiting? Anyway, Russ, I got to get to some others. Thanks for calling in. Finally, you made it, man. Robert Ortiz. It's been a long time, ever since yesterday, my friend. How are you, brother?
Fighting at a
I'm playing so many intros right now. I tried to get to yours, and that was a mistake. You got rid of your background noise?
Sure did. I don't need a fucking intro, dude. You know who this is, man. It's fucking Rockstar. Yeah, man, I hate boxing. It's like I love the art of it. I love once you see two guys in a ring and after all that bullshit is done, it's so beautiful. But come on, man. Like, what? Okay, just run it by me, Nestor Gibbs, so I can understand exactly what has transpired here, because I'm having a little trouble understanding. One guy saying this guy's ducking, the other guy saying that.
No one is saying that. That's the problem, Robert. That only the Triple G fans get on this show and pitch that narrative. Tom Loeffler said Jacobs has indicated that he wants to fight. He said they're still in negotiations and they're looking to set a date for early 2017. It is the fanatics of Gennady Golovkin that are assuming at all costs.
What? So then what's the problem? The fight's already negotiated and they're about to fight.
Yo, listen, you know what's the problem? You know what's the problem? That they have the Mayweather-Pacquiao syndrome. Gennady does, right? So we're supposed to be immediately reacting to the fight not happening in 2016. Instead, we're arguing who deserves what, who's the A side, who's better, because that's what the fanatics of Gennady Golovkin would rather do. We're just supposed to be like, fuck, we thought we were getting this fight in 2016. They had a December date. That ain't gonna happen. This is some bullshit, but at least they're saying it's 2017. How did you feel when you found out you heard it wasn't happening this year when you were all prepared for December 10th? That's an immediate reaction.
Yeah, but Ness, I'm sorry. Ness, you're creating a half story, right?
Bullshit, though, man. Like, just fight, man. Like, come on. Like
yeah, I agree with that. But for the fight to happen, these guys have to agree on a contract, right?
If you're Golovkin, just make the fight if you want all the belts, or move up, because nothing else is going to get you any more money than this. Like, just fucking concede a little bit. Gennady Jacobs has what you want if you're Gennady Golovkin. That's the last belt. Just
Billy Joe Saunders has that last belt.
Respect him as the champion and give him a little bit, you know. And if you're Gennady Jacobs, come on, you know Triple G's the man. Fucking, and he's the biggest exposure you're gonna get. Fucking concede a little bit, you know. It's just you know, you got it's a business. You got to get as much as you can, but really, dude, it's like they're gonna hurt each other more by not fighting than they are by fighting.
But Robert, didn't you also have the opinion though? Because I remember you were adamant about this, that you know you have that opportunity when you fight the champion. And I'm not. This is your opinion, not mine. When you said that he has that opportunity to make much more money after he beats the man, right?
Yo, Rob, address your fucking background noise.
But man, if you're Triple G, it's just it ain't gonna happen, man. Like that mindset is the proper mindset to have, but it's just, that's fairy tale land though. It's just not real, man. It should be, but it's just not. So Danny Jacobs he's scared of Triple G. We all know that. Like everyone that's 160 pounds or less does not want to fight this man. So you know, you just gotta. He's gonna try to get as much money out of that ass beating as he can, and that's the reality. That's all there is to it.
Hey,
there's
Rob,
there's what?
Let me ask you. When Tyson Fury beat Vladimir Klitschko, did you consider him the champ?
Absolutely.
Okay. When Tyson Fury just retired, did you consider him any less of a champ?
Well, yeah, he's no longer champion. He's not a boxer anymore.
But he retired.
So he's gone.
But he retired as a champ to you, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
He didn't lose.
Okay. So to you, him vacating the IBF a long time ago, like a week after he won it, that didn't affect him being a champion to you, right?
Well, it gets very technical. Like I said at the beginning of this call, I hate boxing. That's way too technical, man. Like that's ridiculous. They shouldn't have stripped him. That's like it's unfair. He should not have been stripped of that, like at all. It's like it's dumb.
Understandable,
so,
but do you know?
No, it didn't.
Did you know? Did you know that?
No, it didn't make him less of a champion. No, it didn't.
Perfect. But I still want to give you the details. It seems like if you didn't know what happened exactly with that IBF. Did you know what happened?
No, I didn't. Can you please explain?
I don't know.
For
Remember
me
that
and
guy?
others who don't
Remember
know.
that guy that fought Steve Cunningham? Yo, I'm gonna let you go. You're out of control with this fucking washing dishes on my show, you weirdo. Where's my guns at? I gotta get fucking guns. This is why Texas is great.
But like I said, a perfect analogy would be if Danny Jacobs beat Golovkin, and then they mandated him fighting Alfonso Blanco, and then he said, no, I want to rematch with Golovkin, and then he opted to rematch with Golovkin, not fight Alfonso Blanco. That's a perfect analogy.
Do it. MD, I'm gonna try one more time.
Why don't you understand what I'm saying? One second. Vladimir Klitschko was the champion he was the man. Tyson Fury beat him. Then he wanted a rematch with the man again. Belt organizations mandated, forgot the name of the guy exactly in the top of my head, but they mandated a lesser opponent for him to fight, right? So if I want to relate that to the Golovkin situation, Danny Jacobs is the challenger. He's the Tyson Fury in your analogy. Am I correct, right? He is the Tyson Fury, right? And Golovkin is the Klitschko, right?
No, Daniel Jacobs is not the... See, that's what it is, man. You're so smart that you don't get it. Daniel isn't Tyson Fury. Daniel is Glaskov, who fought to a draw with Steve Cunningham. That's what you don't fucking get. Tyson Fury is Gennady Golovkin, but you got that fucking...
How is Tyson Fury Gennady Golovkin? That makes no sense.
He is the one that should vacate the title instead of fighting the unworthy challenger. Every caller that calls in here says Daniel isn't worthy. He doesn't deserve. He doesn't fill stadiums. He fought in
So who should he vacate for then, Ness? Who should Golovkin vacate for? I want to hear a name that's a viable name right now, because you're saying that because Tyson Fury had the bigger fight. Who should Golovkin vacate?
I can't do this, man. We can't do this. There's other callers. I don't understand. How is it that you don't get it?
Whatever. I mean, I ask you simple questions and I just want simple answers. The same thing you do sometimes.
We don't agree, though. We don't agree. Like, you're not going to convince me. Don't you get that? You're not going to convince me. One man is the man. Tyson and Gennady are the same person. On this show, man, we got 5 years. On this show, or 6 now, everyone has said the same thing. Daniel is nobody. His resume is shit. You said earlier he only got one big win. Without that win, it's shit. He got knocked out. So he is Glaskov. He is Glasgow. And the IBF made Tyson Fury have to fight Glasgow when he wanted a rematch with Vladimir. That's why the rematch clause doesn't matter. It's the principle of fighting an unworthy champion and going through all these unnecessary negotiations with someone who you don't deem worthy. Drop the fucking belt. Do you get it now?
Again, who's Golovkin's Klitschko?
He has none.
Okay, so then it's a stupid analogy. I'm sorry, Ness.
How?
Sorry to go so hard at you. It's a really stupid analogy.
Okay, tell me how. Help me understand.
Because that means Golovkin would be opting not to fight Danny Jacobs because there'd be right now in negotiations a much better and more worthy opponent. And since there's not, and the WBA mandated this fight to happen, this is the fight that needs to happen next. End of story.
Dude, again, he is the man. The reason I'm using the Tyson Fury analogy is because when Tyson vacated the title, no fans deemed him any less worthy. No fans said he wasn't a champion. No fans called him a ducker. And he still hasn't fought. Let's not forget. He has not, even in retirement, he hasn't gone down as a ducker. You know why? Because he was the man for beating the man. Gennady is the man. And we understand, like you said on this show, that Daniel Jacobs is delusional. So why are we succumbing poor Golovkin to negotiate with a delusional fighter who has high expectations of getting over $3 million on a fight that ain't happening on HBO? Come on. I'm helping you win your argument. Let's fucking
well. I mean, he could shoot himself. One second, he could shoot himself in the head by publicly shaming himself. He would publicly.
He's not even the real champion, right? You guys say he's just the regular.
No, but if they don't come to terms in an agreement, right? Yes, we will be disappointed the fight doesn't happen. Yes, I want the fight to happen. But who's going to lose at the end of this? Daniel Jacobs will be publicly shamed by being stripped as the champion. And we fucking care about this shit, Ness. I'm sorry. We care about this. Maybe not you, but there's people that watch boxing who are hardcores that care when fighters drop belts to avoid fights. That is it.
Okay, MD.
Are there any more callers?
A shitload. You don't fucking get that. 773. You rather debate with me about something that we talk off air all the time about. You're not going to convince me on air or off air. What's up, brother?
The people matter.
King J, I sound better now or what?
Yeah, you sound great.
You taking a motherfucking L. Boxing MD's whooping your ass right now.
That is your opinion, brother. That is your opinion.
No, I mean, and look, and that's why we love this show, right? Because everyone gives their own opinion. And if I'm stuck with something, you ain't convincing me, like you said. So you ain't convincing Boxing MD, and he ain't convincing you. That's it.
So if
that's
casual, I need you to tell me if MD is beating me to death, what is the biggest point of his argument?
Well, he doesn't. You got to defend that because you're the one that made the argument, not him.
What do you?
He's just telling you you're wrong. You got to defend him to why you said it is, but it didn't make sense because you said Golovkin would be considered Tyson Fury, right? But no, he wouldn't.
Why not?
Because the man right now, the man would be Klitschko. Tyson Fury beat him. Then he got the belt.
Exactly.
Who's the only one that was trying to rematch Tyson Fury?
Yo, but
Klitschko,
oh my God, I'm like dealing with a bunch of weirdos. Yo, Tyson Fury beat. Listen. Tyson beat Vladimir. He has all the belts, right?
Yes.
Okay. In the middleweight division, he is Klitschko and Tyson. He has all the belts. What the fuck?
Damn, Golovkin is the number one and number two heavyweights fused.
Yo, don't you get that Golovkin has all the titles? Who has the titles, MD? Do we have to go with this again? Who has the titles?
No, can you just let the caller make his point, please? Because I don't want to talk about this again. Because it's just
the titles.
Can you? This is not between me and you. This is between the caller. I've already made my point. Can you address the caller, please? But we all know who has the fucking titles.
Exactly. So why are we acting like we don't know who the fuck Tyson is in the analogy? We know who has the titles, bruh. We know that. So there could only be one Tyson. Whether you want to use Latimer.
Your argument was the fact that he should vacate. Your argument was that he should vacate his belt because Danny Jacobs, according to someone's argument or a hypothetical argument, is not worthy to face him.
And everyone's, yours especially. You are the main one on here and said he is delusional. He doesn't deserve 40%. He doesn't have a fan base. Only 3,000 people went.
Because I said he doesn't deserve 40% doesn't mean that he's not a worthy opponent. I've never said that he's not a worthy opponent. Ness, you're really exaggerating what I'm saying.
What does that mean if he's not worthy? If you're saying that no one sees him because he only fills up 3,000. What about the analogy you made in the Barkley when he fought his biggest opponent? He only had 8. What was the case you were building if you weren't building?
I'm saying that so far in the negotiations, Daniel Jacobs' team hasn't accepted Golovkin's term, right? What we've heard from Daniel Jacobs' team was the fact that they think they're worth 50%, but they're worth at least 60-40%, right? Now, having said that, I don't believe that. I think that it's a little much, that he's not worth that much, a high percentage, right? But that doesn't mean that the fights that he's not worthy of stepping in the ring with Golovkin. I have never said that. That is ridiculous to say that I've said that, and it is an exaggeration and a misnomer.
And listen to this show and you hear yourself.
Wait, ask the caller, actually. Ask the caller. Did I ever say that?
You go back and listen to the show and hear yourself degrade everything that he did and hear yourself shout how he got knocked out. So I'm just making the case. This guy, obviously, in every Golovkin fan's opinion, isn't worthy. He doesn't deserve. I don't see how you don't see my analogy, but I get it.
But let's ask the caller because there's a third person, right?
It's the Triple G fans that don't see the analogy.
How do you even know he's a Triple G fan? You assume because he disagrees with he's a Triple.
I'm talking about you.
So what, hey, hold on. So what are we gonna do from now on? Oh, you don't want to fight him.
You broke.
Fuck it.
You breaking up.
This
You
guy
got
don't want to fight
King J. You got to. You got to
You
start
can't keep
over.
doing this.
You got to start over. You broke up.
I said. So, okay, so I said. You said that we know he's the real champ, and if you don't want to fight him, fuck it, right? That's what you said.
That's what Tyson Fury did. Tyson Fury did that.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you what you said.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's the analogy I'm using.
Okay, so hear me out. So Billy Joe Saunders, he goes next to Billy Joe Saunders. Some shit comes up with the fight, whatever. They're going through all this shit. All right, fuck it. He don't got to fight him either because we know who's the real champ. He moves up to 168. No one wants to fight him. So this motherfucker's just going to keep going from one guy to one guy to one guy to another.
Too many hypotheticals.
Man, that shit don't make sense.
Too many hypotheticals. It don't make sense because you hypothetically thinking about years and fights to come. We talking about this fight. You talking about a whole nother career. You talking about moving up. What the fuck are you talking about?
You talking about a whole nother weight class, and it's a dumbass analogy.
No, it ain't. No, it ain't.
So,
it's a champ.
What's the point?
It's a champion that vacated the title, and no one said he was a duck. And you know why they said that? Because the dude that was supposed to fight him, the dude that was supposed to fight for that IBF strap wasn't worthy. Wasn't worthy. I don't see how y'all don't see it.
I guess, but look, man. Either way, it's a great look. Either way, that's great little argument, man. Hey, thanks a lot for the show.
Man, you breaking up hard.
Cracking like always. Hit the thumbs up.
Thank you, King J. 786, you're up.
Yo, what's good? What's good? I'm at work. I'll make this quick. Yo, Ness.
We here.
Yo, come back to me, Ness.
All right. 347, you're up.
Yeah.
Hello?
No, I put you on mute by mistake.
347, you're up.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Can you hear me? Yes. Yo, Ness.
Yo.
Give yourself a bag of coins. Because I don't know what is going on right now. Like, are these guys drunk? I really don't understand how, like, you basically give them all the information. They don't seem to think that. I don't think they believe Golovkin is the real champion. I really don't, because I don't understand, like, what is the thought process? Like,
there's a guy, Golovkin. He's considered pound for pound. The reason why he's considered pound for pound is because of his title defenses. Now, there's a guy in Germany, in the super middleweights, a long time ago, Steve something, some nonsense. He's not considered pound for pound.
Steve Collins?
Has 19 super.
You're talking about Steve Collins, the Irish guy?
Yeah, well, I'm in Germany. Some guy in Germany. You know how they just have fights in Germany that nobody really watches, right? So it's like that guy in Germany. He's not considered pound for pound, right? But he has the title defenses. Golovkin to me is overrated, and he's not actually, to me, he's not pound for pound. And as far as I see it, the lineal championship, it goes from Sergio Martinez to to Cotto to Canelo. Now, Canelo, you could say that Canelo left the division, but I mean, if you track it, but I mean, that's fictional, but if you track it, the lineage goes through Canelo. Hello?
We here.
Yeah. But it's like, I mean, and these guys, Triple G, I don't know what is it, but they're too emotionally involved. Like, how, I mean, Triple G, yes, he's a good fighter. He's a knockout artist. He has skill. He is. He's a great fighter. I like him. But this is like this aura around him that somehow that he is number one pound for pound. And he's the greatest ever. And like, he hasn't proven that. He could be. He could be. Very much could be. He could beat all them guys in the middleweight division. But until he fights them, we do not know for sure if he's that guy.
Okay. Let me try to explain this to you. Let me try to explain this to you without being insulting. Right? You're sitting here and you're saying that the lineal championship was Canelo, and then it goes away, and then Golovkin's not the real champion. I mean, just from an outside perspective, like, you're calling other people drunk and you're calling other people emotional. Like, there's literally no common sense and logic behind that argument when that lineal championship has been bastardized and stripped from the guy who refused to fight, the guy who you think is overrated. It sounds really ridiculous. Like, I mean, to be honest, so I don't want to sound insulting, but when you're calling here and calling other people drunk, when your comments, to be honest, have no logic. I mean, even Ness, this is the person defending your argument.
Listen, everyone is entitled to their
Wait.
opinion.
No, but I could actually do a better job. Think about this. All right, let's explain to you why Golovkin is the man, right? We established that he is the man. He doesn't have to fight Daniel Jacobs. He doesn't have to fight Billy Joe Saunders. He doesn't have to fight Canelo. He is the man. Now, if he is the man, why are we saying that he is a ducker? We cannot actually say that he is a ducker for leaving the belt. It's the guy, through contract and two reasons we understand, is why he's not going to get that fight. He can vacate the belt and fight him at a later date. That is a possibility. Let me do a better job now, because maybe I did call emotional, but I'm just listening to the Triple G fan, and it's like, it does not make sense to me. Either he is the champion or he's not the champion. And in the analogy makes a lot of sense, because Tyson Fury beats Vladimir Klitschko, and he is the man. Now, Anthony Joshua picked up the belt. Some people consider him a paper champion, right? Now, that is true. If Tyson Fury had not beaten Vladimir Klitschko, he would never gotten the belt. So even though we consider it as he's not the champion, he still is the champion because he did get a belt. I don't know. Maybe that's kind of confusing idea. That part.
No, brother. Listen, you made sense. You made sense to the people.
He didn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. It made no sense to me.
To the people that understand the analogy, the people that want to act ignorant.
The summary of his statement has to do with to say that, well, if Golovkin doesn't agree with his terms, then he should drop his belt because he shouldn't fight him.
No, no. Delivery is everything, MD. Stop, man. I don't understand. I mean, look, it's good for the show, but I'm worried that you really believe this shit. Listen, Listen, man.
Do you believe what you say? Because I'll tell you straight up that I believe everything, Ness, every single thing that I've said today, and I'm going to be 100% honest, I believe. There's no trolling here, right? And the people, you know, besides the few ridiculous people in the chat who just hate on anything you or me say in general, right, will be the ones who decide who sounds more ridiculous, Ness. And we'll see that, because I don't really understand where you're coming from with a lot of things that you're saying.
I don't take the chat as the jury, because you got guys in there that'll say like, oh, I'm with MD, Triple G is quality. Well, that doesn't mean that you believe the argument. You just like Triple G, another fanboy. It's nothing different, but it's okay.
Just like this guy who calls in that says he's overrated because of
No, I don't agree with that. What I agree with the caller is this. And I'm not even going to repeat it, man. It is what it is. Like, we know he's the man, so if he vacates, no one's going to say he's ducking. How the fuck is he going to be ducking Daniel Jacobs when Daniel Jacobs, according to you, doesn't want to negotiate? He's standing.
So okay, but let me just ask you a question, right? But just answer this. It's a simple question.
Wait a minute, because I gotta talk to this guy here. Whatever is weird. I'm glad you said it again in the comments. Portrove or whatever. I don't know. Potter. Here goes your article, right? CNN, so you can say that the website is incredible. And I quote, if they force Tyson to fight Glasscoff, it will not happen, Hennessy said. Mick Hennessy, promoter of Tyson Fury. So we could just take out that name and put in Tom Loeffler, take out Tyson and put in Tom Loeffler. But let's keep going. Glasscoff, listen to what he said. Glasscoff means nothing. He has zero value.
I really you're not like I've already addressed why your analogy makes no sense.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the guy in the
chat. I'm over it. I'm past the analogy because it was so ridiculous. I can't even
chat. You don't get it. I'm not talking to you. I said I was addressing the guy in the chat. But anyway, that analogy, you're only saying that because it went over your head, because the proof doesn't lie. The champion here made a statement. He would not fight an unworthy opponent. Fuck your title. I'm still the champion, just like he continues to be, even in retirement, right? Because now the titles are vacated. There's no undisputed. He is the last undisputed in that division. So you can say whatever you want. 518, you're up. 518.
My fault. Yo, shout out to the Boxing Voice, man. Yo, I don't even know what the fuck you guys talking about, man. You guys going back and forth. Tyson Fury this, Triple G this. You know, point blank, in my opinion, I think Team Golovkin is greedy as fuck. You know, they just want money. You know, I go back to the, $10 million that, Golden Boy sent out to Team Golovkin and they didn't take it. You know, I mean, we can't have Team Golovkin just bump up the first bid to like, well, I don't know what, 30% at least? 35 at least? I mean, Daniel Jacobs wants to fight. At the same time, knows he's going to get knocked out. So he wants to get good money for this fight. And at the same time, I do kind of believe his trainer and the fact that, the fight happened in December is just too damn close. For a fight like Triple G, man, you need a few months to get prepared, get the fight promoted right. It could happen, early next year. And I mean, I'm just like, I'm a big ass Triple G fan, but right now I'm just like little by little disliking him, man, because he's becoming like maybe it's the whole Team Golovkin. They're becoming some kind of diva.
Wait. I'm sorry to call it your double standard, but it has to be established. The fact that according to the purse splits for the WBC, Canelo didn't deem that appropriate, so he dropped the belt and then offered him $10 million, right? So now, is this purse bid? Now, this doesn't benefit the other fighter, so he's going to get out of the purse bids, right? I mean, this is like, I just don't see the logic behind what you're saying. It makes absolutely no sense.
He wants these opponents. Let's just, if he wants these guys to fight him, just make the fight happen the way you want it to. I mean, just give the guy a little bit more money. He's going to accept the fight, and then the fight's going to happen. I mean, in my opinion, ever since that first bid 25% shit came through, I just think that's really, really, really low ball. You know what I'm saying? And
but is that K2's fault or is that the WBA's fault?
I'm just, yeah, man. But just give something on the side to
exactly.
And Jacobs. I mean, they just make the fight happen. 25% is just fucking whack. And especially for that type of fight, for all the belts. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It just doesn't make no sense, man. I'm just hoping the fight gets made next year. You know, Daniel Jacobs can get prepared, even though he's gonna get knocked out. You know, just make the fight happen. You know, Daniel Jacobs, BJ Saunders are probably the only two biggest names at 160 right now for Triple G. Triple G needs those two guys in his resume. If he doesn't get him, if he doesn't get neither of them, you know, move the fuck up. That's it. That's my opinion on that. And before I let you go, you know, I just want to shout out, you know, all the Patreon family out there. You know, if only all the fucking YouTube followers you got, man, to fucking join Patreon, man. You will be making your goal fucking faster than anything and plus more, man. Let's all donate, people, man. This is a fucking great podcast, the best podcast on the planet right now when it comes to boxing. You know, and I'm out.
Thank you, brother. Hopefully,
I appreciate the praise, and like I said again, I'll say this again that Ness and I disagree a lot, but we do this for you guys, so you guys could voice your opinion and you guys could agree or disagree. So,
yo, and to be honest, you know, look at the amount of shows. You know, it's because of MD. He calls me every day. This was his idea. I'm like, dude, for real. But we all know he wants to debate this. But yes,
because Ness said no. We talked about this.
Wait, yesterday was your idea as well. It's not a biased thing. What I want to say is that you are passionate about the sport and you're willing to, you know, crank up the radio and do it as many times. So the listeners should be appreciative of that and of you, and you know, hit that thumbs up button, because as long as MD wants to come on, I definitely want to talk. And you know, like that Kevin Costner movie, if we build it, you guys will come. We get the callers, we answer it. Speaking of, we're gonna go back to Robert Ortiz. He wanted to double back. This is exactly why you should be using our Patreon feature, the Boomerang, because when you first come on and you talk on the show, and then all of a sudden you hear all the callers, it gives you, you know, that feeling where you need to call back in. So, Robert, talk to us. What gave you the itch, man?
Sorry. Well, yeah, first, sorry, you know, I had all the background noise and stuff. And, yeah, the Patreon, man, I encourage all you guys to do. You gotta realize that this is a job, and it's entertaining for us, but Ness works really hard. And you know, just it's not just him trying to pay rent, but it's going out and getting more shit done so that we can enjoy it and so we could learn and have more topics to discuss, and gets us closer to the fight game itself. So if you're a fan of the show, you know, go on your Patreon and you get to do things like this, which brings you back around when you hear someone make a point and you want to go make your point to counter that point. Then that's one of the features you get. So go on Patreon, sign up, and start supporting the Boxing Voice. With that said, yeah, I mean, I just started thinking, you know, this is a pretty unwinnable argument, man. Like, because there's so many sides to it. Like a 25% being forced to do that. That's just such a low ball thing. And like I don't know if it was Boxing MD or the caller that had said it, but that's just too low of an offer in this type of fight. It's just unfair. Like, I don't know, unless one guy's significantly, insanely bigger than the other. And I don't think that to be the case in this particular bout. So, and on the other hand, it's like, if you're a fucking football player, don't you want to play in the Super Bowl? You know, like it just makes no sense. Gennady Golovkin is the man there, period. There's no arguing it, man. Like that's just retarded logic to try to counter that. He is the man at 160, period. And if you're a sanctioning body and you don't look at Gennady Golovkin as either the champion or either mandatory to your belt, then you're just not valid, and I don't care about your belt, you know, because that just makes no sense. But if it's the IBF that's in question right now, right?
No, but it sounds like he understands the analogy. MD would have you.
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't know. It sounds like it's making sense, I guess.
Well, Robert, again, like this is what I just have to say, and to move on from that analogy is the fact that if the guy who is the challenger of the challenger to the belt, right, if they don't agree, or if the challenger doesn't want to agree with the terms of the challenge, the person who's challenging, right, that they should drop their belt. That's what Ness is saying. In other words, if K2 doesn't like what Danny Jacobs has to offer, but the difference is, Ness, that the WBA mandated something. So if Jacobs doesn't agree with that, then he's the one who has to drop the belt. Why is it like, in other words, the only reason that we're arguing about purses is because he's going against what is mandated by the sanctioning body.
No,
this is not.
What's going to happen is they would have to go to purse bid. That's what I'm saying, right? They would have to go to purse bid.
And that, yep.
We already know who's going to get what percentage. And we already know what fighter doesn't want to accept what percentage. So
and it is the challenger's job to accept the.
Wait a minute. This is why Tom Loeffler is already in agreements that he doesn't want to go to purse bid. You understand that, right? That
because they know that they're going to drop the belt.
Exactly. They all understand there's a huge possibility he will drop the belt. You understand that, right?
Yeah, and who's being the diva here then?
Now, you understand that if he is succumbed to make 25%, he's dropping the belt, right?
That's his choice to publicly shame himself. Because dropping the belt in boxing is a form of publicly shaming yourself. I don't know what world you live in.
I'm not disagreeing with you, except when it's in the case of the champion. Now, you make total sense. That's why I guess people are not seeing the analogy. Like, why would Golovkin drop it? He could just go to purse bid, wait to see what Daniel Jacobs does. If Daniel Jacobs wants to fight, he gets his 25%. Golovkin fights him for the 25%. It's done. If Daniel Jacobs doesn't want to fight, then Daniel Jacobs vacates the title. That title gets amended into Triple G's already existing super title, and they burn it, right? And only Triple G has the super version, and then he moves on. But that holds him up. You understand that, right?
Of course.
Okay. How many months do you think that holds him up?
Well, you know, Tom Loeffler has given Jacobs' team the benefit of the doubt and pushed the fight back. So I don't know. I mean, it's all
right. But listen, we've seen this happen before. So now they're going to start talking in January because they said 2017, right? So they'll start talking in January. Jacobs, still doesn't want 25%.
Wait, who said they're going to start talking in January for a fight that should happen in February?
Well, isn't the news on ESPN say that early 2017?
Yeah. Are they going to start talking forward then? Because obviously there's no reason why the talk should stop. The talk should be continuing now until the fight's made, if that's the next fight. So again, I just don't know if that's true.
No. This is true. That's the thing. You don't want to understand. You keep thinking that Golovkin has all this stuff in his favor. No, time is of the essence. And I quote, "The bad news, Golovkin-Jacobs will not take place this year. Instead, neither will fight again in 2016, and their fight will be pushed into the early part of 2017, assuming it is eventually finalized." Nothing is secure, MD. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Whenever that happens,
tie yourself up waiting for a guy that, again, I repeat, everything the callers have called.
So you're saying that he should drop the belt for that? That's what you're saying?
No, or push for the purse bid. Call the WBA.
So you know what they're going to do is he's not dropping that fucking belt that he earned. They're going to be pushing for that purse bid. And then if Danny Jacobs doesn't accept the terms that were given to him, I'm sorry, Ness, the WBA mandated the 75-25. It's not a fair world. Again, I'm saying this again. And he knew this and he pushed for it. Then he's going to have to drop the belt. It sucks. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what to tell you. These men make much more money than anybody fucking listening to this podcast, or most of these people. Let's stop caring about how much he gets paid. 25% is not $25,000. He's still going to be making $1.8 million for this fucking fight. Okay? So let's stop caring so much about how much these men get paid. Let's stop it. Seriously.
For a man saying, let's stop caring, why are you giving us the actual dollar amount that he'll make? Because you want to influence the listeners to say, oh, that is a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, Ness. For most people who listen to the show, when the average American makes what, $50,000 a year, Ness? I mean, let's stop being ridiculous. This man was making $700,000 to fight Sergio Mora. I mean, these are not poor people, Ness. So let's stop giving a fuck how much they get paid. It's his choice to try to fight the rules. And if the rules don't work in his favor, then he could drop the belt and be another, I guess, has-been fucking champion. But he has the opportunity, right, to make history and to beat the 15 defending time world champion. That's on him, Ness, and he has to live with that.
You know what I see? I see that you don't even want him to drop the belt because you know how badly Golovkin needs him.
I want to see the fight happen because I think that all the people that doubt Golovkin's skill, he'll show again that because people are delusional, and I want to see the best fight the best, right? And I believe that Gennady Golovkin still is in the top 5 in the middleweight division. He still is.
Yet, in your opinion, he only deserves 25%. He's delusional.
It's not in my opinion. That's in the WBA's opinion. I'm sorry. That's the organization he fights for.
No.
I'm not making these numbers up. They exist.
In your opinion, because you have yet to say they should give him X, Y, Z. You're saying he should take the 25%.
Why do I care what they have? They don't have to give him a fucking dollar more than 25%.
Okay, so let me move on. You are saying that he deserves 25%. You are saying that he only had 3,000 people in Reading. You are saying that he only had 8,000 people when he fought the biggest fighter of his career. You are saying that without that fight with Peter Quillen where he had 8,000 in the Barkley, he would be no one and he has no resume. And before that, he got knocked out. So why fight him?
Because it's a mandatory. And he's a top 5 middleweight. I don't know what else you're saying. I'm not saying. Wait, I'm
exactly why I bring up the analogy of Tyson Fury, right?
Tyson
Fury realized that
the 25% is not a number that I made up. Again,
Tyson Fury realized that Glaskov was not worth the headache. Gennady is already the WBA champ. Don't you get that? He's already the WBA champ. He don't gotta fight with Jacobs. If Jacobs is being unrealistic, Gennady is already the super. He's already. You can't duck somebody who's not really the champ, and according to you.
So he should drop his.
No,
I'm not agreeing. Yes, you've said what you've said multiple times, right? And I've disagreed with him multiple ways. Can you please move on?
Stop saying he should drop. Stop fucking saying that. Push the purse bid. Stop negotiating with a guy that you see doesn't want to fight. Push the purse bid. Push it. If Jacobs doesn't want to fight, take your strip title that amends to nothing. You don't even get another belt for it. You got this. You got the one already. That's what I'm telling you. It's a worthless argument. If Jacobs is being unrealistic, okay, my dude, you're not even the real champion. I'm the WBA super. You are the regular. You don't want to take 25%? Okay. Yo, WBA, sign up for the purse bid. We ready to go. Why are we waiting until 2017? You know why? And you don't want to admit it because there's no one else out there. And this needs to happen for boxing. So if it needs to happen, make it happen is all I'm saying. I'm not asking about numbers. I don't want to argue about numbers. Make it happen. But you know in economics how it's made. You can't make the fight by trying to tell a dude you're going to fight on this network and you're going to fight on this date and you only getting this amount. But yet when the shoe's on the other foot for Golovkin and Canelo and Oscar De La Hoya say you're going to fight on in 2017 and you're going to fight on September and you're going to fight for 10 million, it's not okay. I don't need a rebuttal. I don't need a rebuttal.
No, they dropped the belt. They dropped the belt. They dropped the belt. It's not the same thing.
I don't want your rebuttal. I don't want it because you don't understand analogy.
Because the truth sometimes hurts to hear.
I don't want your rebuttal. Let's get to the callers. 781. 781.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
That was good. I want to say something. This is like the era of the fabulous, you know what I'm saying, like kind of like the Fab Four. And you guys, some guys are gonna like what I'm gonna say, some guys are not gonna like what I'm gonna say. You know, for Triple G to try to shortchange Gennady Golovkin is not really a good thing for Triple G in his career. And I understand where MD's coming from, but you have to look at the whole picture right now, right? Triple G is in the middleweight division. He wants to stay at 160, right? So I'm gonna be quite honest here. He needs all those names at 160. That's, you know, Billy Joe Saunders. He needs to beat that guy. He needs to beat Gennady Golovkin. He needs to also beat Peter Quillen, even though that Gennady Golovkin did that. And he needs to also fight, last but not least, Chris Eubanks Jr. Because these are the guys. He doesn't want to leave that division, right? So these are the guys who are in his division. These are the names that he has to collect to be considered what you want to make him and what all of the Triple G fans want to make him. Not saying that I'm not a Triple G fan. You can check my channel. I make videos about I like Triple G, but at the same time, he needs these guys just as much as these guys need him and they need each other. So changing each other is not a good idea because honestly, after what Danny Jacobs did to Peter Corlin, Triple G did not do that to Dominic Wade. All right, I'm letting you know that right now, not to be disrespectful or rude or anything like that. Triple G pissed me off when he went into the ring and started throwing jabs at David Lemieux. And this argument, we wouldn't be.
How did that piss you off?
KO'd Lemieux.
How did that piss you off? Do you watch boxing?
Let me finish something. I'm gonna give you a chance. Hold on. I'm gonna give you a chance, right? And to me, Jacobs, Billy Joe, Peter Corlin, and Eubanks deserve a fair piece of the pie to fight Triple G because he needs those names to be considered great. That's why you guys want to call him pound for pound. I call him 160 pound because that's all he is. He's just 160 pound. You know, until he moves up, he has to collect those names if he wants to be a big name. That's how it is, man. You know, we call Pac-Man because he was eating people. He was collecting names. You know what I'm saying? But Triple G is not collecting names. He doesn't have, like, you know, some guys that walk around with like when they walk back to the village, they walk back with a bear or a lion as their trophy. Triple G walks back with rabbits and fish, and some people are supposed to be excited. You know what I mean? Bring back a bear, bring back a lion, and we'll jump. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
See, again, I like everybody who calls. Anybody who calls in, they have the they have the balls to call and give their opinion. But again, I don't see how you say someone's not pound for pound when in a fight that he's fighting a legitimate puncher, he chooses to show a different facet of his boxing game and not just maul over a guy who legitimately could punch. So I don't see how you could hate on somebody for showing you a different part of their boxing game, right? The same way that good fighters adjust. So again, the whole basis of that is ridiculous. Just because you didn't see him run over David Lemieux means that you're pissed off.
Go ahead. Sorry.
What, Lemieux Ness that got knocked out by Marco Rubio? Ha ha ha! Is that what you're about to say?
That wasn't me. That's the caller. I'm not even interrupting you guys.
Oh, I thought you said that. Oh, my bad. But like, do you see what I'm saying? Like I understand that that you're disappointed, as am myself. And look, Golovkin has had a really disappointing year because he's fought Dominic Wade and he's fought Kell Brook, a welterweight. Yes, I had him as #1 welterweight, but I knew what the end was going to be, right? And this year has been terrible for Golovkin. But I do, opposed to like other people, what's happened this year so far is, from my perspective, that there has been at least 3 names that we all would have been happy for that could have somehow made that fight happen. And I do not put the blame on Golovkin. I'm sorry. And people disagree, but that's just how I see it.
Well, when it comes to boxing, right? Some of us do it for the money. Some of us do it for the glory. What does Triple G do it for? Because he says he wants to be great. He wants to have all the belts. He wants to, be known. Honestly, all Triple G has to do, man, is just say, hey, or just, your team works for you. You know what I'm saying? You don't work for them. They work for you. Loeffler works for Triple G. Triple G don't work for Loeffler. I want you to know that. You know what I'm saying? I want you to know that. All Triple G has to say, hey, yo, give this dude his money. I'm going to knock his head off his shoulders. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Mike Tyson, let me tell you something. Oh, my goodness.
Cut it.
2 minutes, my friend. This is not a regular show. This was supposed to be, Jesus. MD tricked me into his favorite topic, man. 678.
Yo, Ness.
Milkman again?
Ness. Yeah, hey, man, I had a question, man. How the hell does this boomerang thing work, man? Because I don't see it on Patreon, but I signed up for one of the for the donation subscription.
It's on there. It's on there. You got to go to the rewards on the right. Hit me up off air. You got my number.
I went to the rewards, man. All right.
Talk some boxing to me, though.
Y'all just... Okay, look, man, check it. I'm going to tell you just like this, man. Triple G versus Wade did 1.3 mil on HBO. Quillen versus Jacobs did 350, 380, somewhere around there. Numbers don't lie, man. Triple G already said he wants all those fucking belts. He already has the fucking WBA belt. He's the fucking super champion. He doesn't need Jacobs. He should say, fuck it. Let's go to a purse bid. Jacobs doesn't want to. He doesn't want to fight me for 25%. Fuck it. Let him drop the belt. What is it to him? He wants all the belts. That's his goal right now. It's a weak fucking division. All right. But what we have to realize, he will be okay and Jacobs will be okay. Just the same way they made Brook versus Triple G. We didn't like it, but they found a fucking fight to give us. All right? They are always going to find fights to give us. So in life, man, sometimes you got to take 2 steps forward to take 3 steps forward. If Jacobs wants to fucking challenge himself and seize the moment and show people how great he is, he needs to stop fucking complaining. Stop being such a fucking hard ass. Same thing Floyd said. All these fighters want all this fucking money, but either one, your record doesn't reflect how good you are, or 2, you ain't pulling in the numbers. I like Jacobs. He ain't pulling in those kind of numbers, man. 25, 30% is reasonable. 40% is crazy, all right? So Jacobs needs to fucking man up, take the fucking fight, and keep it moving. That's all I got. I'm going to look for that fucking boomerang, all right?
All right, brothers. On the right, go to the main page of the Patreon, and it's going to be on the right. Scroll down to the bottom. Yeah, man. You see, at least he gets my point. Even though he's a Triple G, he's on Triple G side. You see, it's like, yo, Jacobs.
But this is not. Yeah, no, I see. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Like if he's not, he doesn't want to play ball. Yo, mandate the purse bid. Don't give him more time. Don't let it go into 2017 and he could wiggle out. What if in 2017 now he's like, yo, I can't even make the weight no more. You know, Thanksgiving and Christmas and the time off. Yo, you guys think it's a game, man. You guys think it's a game. Listen, 2015, what we get, it's 2016. What we get from Golovkin, Dominic Wade, and Kelbrook. What did we get from Canelo?
Vacating the belt.
Who'd he fight this year?
China Ching Khan and a Euro level Liam Smith.
Exactly. And what about Pacquiao?
Tim Bradley and Jesse Vargas.
And Thurman.
Just Sean Porter.
And Sean Porter.
Did he fight before Keith Thurman this year? I think that.
I don't even know. You're doing well, too. This is going good. But the point is, this shit happens, man. These guys, like, we don't get the best, man. Like, we sitting here acting as like we're not hardcore. Like, we don't talk about boxing every day. This is
right. And I sit and again, right. And this is, you know, this is why this argument's a lot more than you know, just Golovkin or X fighter or Y fighter, right? There's some principles that, as a boxing fan, as someone who understands the sport, right, that I'm consistent with. And we, like, again, none of us got into the sport because they see Danny Jacobs and what fucking car he has, right? So as a boxing fan, right, we all buy these pay-per-view fights. A lot of us spend money to fly and to go to fights, right? We have power in this sport, and this show reaches a lot of people when we have the power to say that. So whatever it takes, and I understand that it's ridiculous to assume that every single fight, having the best fight the best, right? But when you see fighters drop belts to avoid fights because they don't like the rules, they don't like the splits, that's against one of my principles in boxing, and I'm principled when it comes to that, right?
Except you weren't using your principles when Tyson Fury vacated the title.
The difference is that is the sanctioning body, right? That was an exception, and that is literally the only exception I've ever seen.
Yeah, but so the argument goes from the differences to that's an exception. Let's just take some calls, man.
No, because again, that I don't even see the analogy in that. I mean, let's keep it real here, Ness. The only reason that Wilder has a belt is because somehow that belt came into his lap.
Classic. Can't win an argument. Bring up a totally different subject. Oh man, that was beautiful. I got him on the ropes, guys.
No, I'm punching myself out. You know what I mean? So I have to take a breather against the ropes. This is like the Canelo Kirkland fight. You're looking like Kirkland right now. You're about to get slept.
He's on the ropes.
You lose.
202, you're up.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
What's going on, brother? Who's this?
Can y'all hear me? This Marcus from DC.
Marcus, talk to us.
Yo, man, listen. Triple G brought an element to the game right now that's fucking a lot of these fighters up. He's one of the only elite fighters that everybody know he fighting 3 times a year. So these dudes know they got a month to negotiate before he already going to secure a fight date. And every time he start dealing with one of these fighters who think that they supposed to draw out negotiations for 6 months, know what this man's time schedule is. They gave Danny Jacobs a pass for 2 years when he was the mandatory. They didn't reach down and make him mandate to try to scoop that belt. They said, okay, you coming off of cancer. You said you're not ready in a year or two. So it's been years. It's been 2 years now. The man still haven't snatched scalps that would make Danny Jacobs more marketable when he fought the Golovkin. He could have been doing that during this whole time for the 2 years, but he didn't. That's why the first thing that came before he asked for the 60-40 split with the WBA was, can I take an interim fight? Then they were like, no. Can I get 60-40? They were like, no. So you had already seen him try to do 2 outs to get out of it because all these dudes that fight this man, they want cash out money. Like, he going to ruin my career. He either going to ruin my marketability or he going to beat blood out of me. Because sometimes getting that vicious, clean, sharp punch knockout doesn't hurt you as bad as somebody beating the pulp out you. Triple G beats the pulp out these dudes, and he fights 3 times a year. So now instead of taking the top 9 contenders for him to take him 4 or 5 years to get through the contender list, he knocked this contender list out in like basically 3 years. So now the dudes who where usually in your career where y'all meet and y'all finally fight where y'all both are bringing money, that Pacquiao was a super champ. He had to bite, scratch to get 40%. Danny Jacobs on no near level like that. So he need 40. And let's be honest, I'm pretty sure, without knowing for sure, that K2 and Triple G offered the man more than 25%. And I'm pretty sure they used that and said, hey, listen, man, we offering you 30, 32, or whatever it was.
Speculation.
Whatever it was, they say, listen, because you're going to get 25 one way or the other. So I do think Triple G and them should push the purse bid, just even if he pulls out and doesn't accept it. I think he should, because man, these dudes is out here catting, man. These dudes don't want to fight no more. Everybody's a boxer and a promoter. When it's time to get the fight stopped, everybody say, I'm a boxer, I don't make that decision, I got a corner, talk to my people. But then all of a sudden, everybody's promoting themselves. Rozier's promoting, Danny Jacobs promoting. Just fight. You say you'll fight a fight.
And let me ask you another. And caller, are you still there? How many besides quote unquote Lara, which again, Lara hasn't done a goddamn thing in fucking 3 years, right? So, how many super middleweights or super welterweights have been rushing to move to the middleweight division to fight in a very weak, easy middleweight division?
It's not easy. They got a saltwater crocodile up there by the name of Triple G. It may be easy in the bottom half.
Objection.
But they got a saltwater crocodile that you got to deal with, and therefore that division is not easy. Because when you box, the ideal is that you move through your division
Exactly.
and stop. But they got a 20-foot saltwater croc that pulls 1-ton animals and then drowns them. Fuck no, it's not an easy division. 168 is easy. That's why Ward left. Because otherwise he'd have went back and scratched other people's scalps and took those division titles, but he didn't do it because he knows the super middleweight historically has been an underperforming division always. Nobody goes to 68. It's a fucking funeral up there.
Yo, you guys are the funniest, man. I mean, these Golovkin fans are the funniest.
Yes, call him a weirdo, because that's what you call everybody who disagrees with you, a weirdo.
Yeah, because you guys are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jermell Charlo is the only one who has said that he's thinking about moving up. Okay.
Did he think about he's fighting Golovkin or not?
Canelo is a guy that I wouldn't argue with anyone if they said, nah, Ness, Canelo can move up, right? Because he was fighting all those catchweights at 55, right? But if if Canelo is making the weight and Jamal is making the weight and Golovkin is making the weight, why do they have to move up?
Let me ask you another question. When you announced those fighters, right? When you announced when you announced all the big names, right, who dropped out of the WBC rankings, whose name did you not announce?
I don't know, but you acting as if I didn't announce someone's name purposely?
Well, we know for a fact that there's right now Canelo is not being tested by any organization because he refused to adhere to the WBC. No. Just let me finish.
Information that you can't finish something that's false. I didn't announce Canelo's name being dropped because he wasn't in the fucking rankings since he vacated the title. His name wasn't even on the article or the press release.
No, because he's already chose to not take the test.
No, because that's what you love doing best, insinuating shit. You're trying to insinuate to the listeners that the WBC dropped him because he didn't want to do VADA. Yo, there's something really wrong with you.
Wait.
You can't do that.
Did we not establish the fact that for the last fight in Canelo, Liam Smith, that there was no VADA testing? And that was because VADA was still willing to pay for it, but they opted not to. Was that also not a fact?
Yes, that is a fact.
Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is that there's not all this criticism that you give to Golovkin. He's trying to get the belts. He's doing the fucking drug testing that we beg all the fighters to do. And yet he gets so much criticism from so many fans that don't have any principles in boxing when they just count people's money and protect cowards. I mean, I'm sorry, Ness. This is not why I got into boxing. I got into boxing because I like to see fighters challenging themselves and I like to see greatness, right? And yes, of course, I wanted to see Gennady Golovkin fight Andre Ward. So don't bring that argument up because it's ridiculous. Because I wanted to see who was the better of the two fighters, and we didn't get to see that, right? But again, I have principles and I go by them, and they don't change for other fighters. And it just happens that Golovkin fits a lot of the principles.
Bro. You don't have principles. The problem is that you don't even realize you're being recorded, so your shit is always going to be out there.
It will always be out there. And I'm
smear campaign, okay, just to defend one guy. Like, you can have assumptions, but you can't verbally say that shit in public, okay? You can't just add Canelo's name to a list and say that he didn't want to test for VADA. You can't insinuate that he made weight.
I didn't say Canelo's using. That's an insinuation. That's an insinuation. I'm saying that he chooses not to do VADA.
What the fuck else are you saying if you're not saying that? What are you talking about, MD?
Just because I'm saying that I'm saying when someone takes VADA testing, you could say unequivocally that is the best testing organization out there, that you could say he's clean. Yes. Now that somebody does not choose to do VADA, I'm not assuming that they're dirty, but I also can't assume that they're clean. Is that a fair assumption? That there's a question mark?
Doggy, you should have really been a lawyer because you're so slick. This is what lawyers do, right? They say something they know they can't say so that the defense attorney says objection, but the fucking jury heard it already, right?
Well,
so
let
me finish. So here goes your thing that you threw out there so the fucking listeners can hear and get a bite of it, whether or not it's true, right? Your thing is Canelo was dropped from the VADA testing, and Ness, you so slickly forgot to mention his name. You didn't announce his name. And it's like, wait a minute. No, I didn't read his name because his name wasn't there because he wasn't dropped. But you wanted to drop that in the minds of the listeners to make him look like he was avoiding testing because he's dirty. So then what you do is you double back and go to the facts to strengthen your fucking lying argument by saying, Ness, isn't it true that he didn't do VADA and they were willing to pay for the Liam Smith? So yeah, I don't know, man. You're fucking loose right now. 770, you're up. This guy is crazy.
I'm letting my hands loose. You're not used to it.
No, you're insinuating that's not fair. That's not ethical. 770. You just want to listen?
Up, fellas?
Okay. What's going on, brother?
Listen, it's funny, man. You're calling for something, but y'all guys keep changing the subject, so you have to change what you're going to talk about. And now that y'all mentioned the drug testing, wasn't it Leon Smith who first initially dropped off out of the test? And then Canelo just decided, well, if he ain't going to be testing, then I ain't going to test either. Wasn't that what happened?
I don't know about that.
No, but it is fair to say that Liam Smith didn't mind the fact that the testing wasn't initiated. Did you hear what I said?
Hello?
Yes, we hear you. I said it is fair to assume, because Liam Smith didn't seem bothered the fact that the test was being dropped.
He was actually the one that complained about it. He said that he got tested like one day, and then the following day he got tested again, and he was like, "I'm not gonna put up with that." So he's the one that actually dropped out of the testing. It wasn't Canelo. You know, he just.
Can you find a source for that, because that makes no sense? Can you please find a source for that?
What happened?
I just want to see a source for that, because that's interesting. I never heard of that, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. I would like to see the source for that, because that's news to me.
Yeah, it was actually Leon Smith. If you look it up, it was Leon Smith who actually initiated the canceling of the drug test. And Canelo just obliged with it. He was like, all right, cool. And Texas did they did the Texas. They followed up with the testing. But at the end, man, look, just to get to the Danny Jacobs and the Triple G, man, I really feel like Danny Jacobs deserves that. The division is empty. You don't get an opportunity to make a comeback if you lose a fight. He's got a good story behind him. He beat, I think, the number 2 or 3 guy and Peter Quillen. You know, I mean, if you looked at the middleweight division, it was actually Triple G, Peter, Jacobs, and then you can talk about the English kid. What's his name? Southpaw guy, the English kid, the one that's making all the noise now.
One who got injured and chose to have a picture of his dick on Twitter instead of actually be serious about negotiations with Golovkin.
Yeah, what's his name? The other kid and then you got the Eubank, and you got these guys, but those guys are young. You know, those guys are young.
Cut it.
214, you're up.
Yeah, first time caller.
First time caller, where you calling in from?
From Dallas.
How long you been listening?
About 2 years.
Damn. All right. So you know the routine, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, making his professional debut.
I'm from Dallas.
What an introduction. What's your name, brother?
It's Ivan.
Ivan, talk to us.
Yeah, I just wanted to call about that Liam Smith. If you check it on IFL, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, he said it himself. They were doing an interview, and he said that that it was too much. You know, that he was getting drug tested, and he's the one that backed out. And then Canelo said the same thing. You know, it's like, if he's not going to do it, why should I?
Well, I mean, why should he do that? Because she doesn't want to fight a fighter who doesn't want to do a drug test because he could be dirty?
No, and that's a good point you make, MD. He should at least want to do it since the other fighter doesn't want to do it, so, to make sure. But that doesn't take away from the point that you insinuated to the listeners that he opted out.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, too.
Well, he accepted the – okay, so I will fix that statement.
Like he didn't want to do it, like he started it,
Okay, but let me ask you a question, right? We always talk about A side, B side, right? If Canelo wanted the VADA testing, it would have happened. Period.
No, yeah, no one's arguing that. I'm just saying that you made it sound like Canelo didn't want to do it, so he, when it was Liam Smith who brought it up, and I mean, he said it himself. You look it up on the interview, he was doing it, and he's like, he said that he told the promotion going board that it was too much. That then they both said okay.
60 seconds.
He said he was getting tested by some I don't know if it's the commission or what, but it wasn't VADA. But he said he was still getting tested, and so was Canelo. And you over here talking about MD, you talking about counting people's money. I'm pretty sure you were arguing about when Canelo made that $10 million plus pay-per-view. It's you argued about that, and you ain't arguing about Danny Jacobs, what he's gonna get.
I mean, the reason why because one second.
Cut it.
Because Canelo chose to be cute and make the rules for himself and drop the belt because he didn't like the split for himself, right? So I'm not necessarily saying, I'm not arguing how much money one's making, not the other making. I'm saying that Canelo is the one who's making the rules for himself, not Golovkin.
Let me see. We got 202. These calls don't stop, dude. 202.
No, they not. What's up, man?
What's up? Who's
Hey, look,
this?
Let me ask y'all a question.
Who's this? Who's this?
This 202. This Marcus. Hey, let me ask y'all a question. Why do you think that Canelo, if that was the case, Canelo dropped the belt? Golovkin was pushing for, he was going to accept the terms of the WBC, which I think are probably like 65 or 70-30. They're not as stringent as WBA.
60-40.
To make sure that the weight was there, that the weight was 60. You know what I'm saying? So WBC do 60-40. So
Yes.
I'm just saying is that what is it that you think is missing here that I'm missing, because I hear people on one side say Golovkin is hardballing. Golovkin's not a super money machine, but he gets more money than some of these dudes he's fighting. But the money that these dudes are talking about is usually only generated by pay-per-view. And yet when you go and do 100,000 pay-per-view, which could possibly pay for the type of money these dudes are asking for as opponents, then people lambast the dude for only pulling in 100K or 150,000 on pay-per-view. You know, Canelo now is pulling in 300 per pay-per-view unless he fights somebody else more notable. Like he did 450 with Khan and he did 900 with Cotto, which is probably more attributed to Cotto. So I mean, Canelo fought the Trivago, man. They got 300,000. So I mean, like, what does Danny Jacobs or any person like Chris Eubanks or whatever, what do y'all think is a fair amount for the Golovkin to give to these fighters if none of these other supposed A-side fighters are giving the percentages that people are asking Golovkin give his opponent? I don't understand.
Because there's a double standard that people don't like it, except that they use when they talk about Golovkin. It's a fact. It's a double standard. I mean, how many people? It doesn't matter if you lose to Floyd because, if you take short money because it's not bad for your career, right? We all know that Floyd Mayweather didn't give 60-40 or even 75-25 to one fucking opponent. Not one time, right? But we all accepted the fact that, you had to fight Floyd, you got the opportunity, right? But there's a double standard these same fans use when they talk about Golovkin, who's not sacrificing enough of his purse. Not sacrificing, because Ness doesn't like when I use that term. Giving up enough of his purse to get the other guy in the ring with him, right? So there's a clear double standard being used, and these guys don't even realize they're using it.
All right, let me see. 703.
Yo, what's up? What's up? 40th Street Black here, man. Great show, fellas. Great show. I just want to say, man, that Daniel Jacobs, man, he need to accept that offer, man, because honestly, Triple G has one fight left before the fans are going to be putting pressure on him to face either Billy Joe Saunders or Canelo Alvarez. All of next year, let's say Triple G fights 3 times. He got one fight to fill before those 2 fights are going to be due. And Daniel Jacobs better realize that there are other options for Gennady Golovkin. I think I heard one of y'all say earlier that he has no other options. He does have options. Eubanks is still there. Billy Joe Saunders is still there. Andy Lee is still there. Toriano Johnson is still there. There are names that Triple G can fill that one fight void with and move on with his life, get that last belt, take on that super fight, and move up. And Daniel Jacobs better realize that there ain't nobody else at middleweight that he can face that's going to give him not only the payday of Triple G, but also give him the legacy point of Triple G. And with those notions alone, Triple G is just doing good business. Also, with this 75-25 thing, I just want to say that if this don't go down the right way, it will set a bad precedent for future fights, because other fighters will look at this rule and say, well, hey, Danny Jacobs bent it. Why can't we bend it? And it's going to set a precedent that's going to be terrible for the sport, for the middleweight division in the sport of boxing all along. And at my last point, Triple G deserved this. You know what I mean? He put the work in. He's beaten champions, fair and square, never felt the drug test, never ducked no one. He's beat champions. And on top of that, Daniel Jacobs hasn't. He held basically a #1 contender spot. So in my opinion, with those things known, it's no question that Triple G deserves whatever that the WBA set, not him, with the WBA set, he deserves it, in my opinion. And that's all I got. Great show also, fellas.
Thanks for calling in, brother. Thanks for calling in. Good call, man. We got 678. I'm afraid this guy's learned how to juke the system here. 678. Who's this?
Hey, Ness, you know I ain't joked this, messed up the system. How I do that, you know?
I'm joking.
I'm your
brother.
man.
I'm joking, D. It's just a lot of 678s today.
Well, everybody in Atlanta love your show, baby. You know, you need to open up a satellite office here in Atlanta.
No, man. I need to get a producer
You
full
know?
time, and I'll know who's on the line. That's the thing. My producer's at work today, but talk to me.
Oh, okay.
You know what they have to do is they gotta start having fights in Atlanta. I don't know why nobody's ever had a fight there.
Wilder should fight.
I agree. They need. I mean, it's a big fight market, Ness, man.
I mean, if PBC knew how to if PBC know how to build stars, they'd be having fights at the.
Ness can't even get a full-time producer around these parts, man.
Hey, Ness, I was just messing with you. I have a question for you. I think the previous caller was absolutely right. I think, you know, Jacob should take that split, because guess what? After a while, Triple G is moving on because he's going to fight with Canelo in September of next year.
Well, that's what they're targeting the negotiations
right?
for. You know, that's what they're targeting. That
Right,
those
right.
still haven't
Right.
come.
I wouldn't guarantee that, but like Ness said, it's not guaranteed. That's for sure. You never know with Oscar.
No, because remember that's an Oscar De La Hoya date, right? So that's what I'm saying. Again, how do you negotiate?
Oh, you're right.
It's like coming into the negotiations already succumbing. But it is the most marketable day, so Triple G could only be happy. Plus, he's Mexican style, so it makes sense.
Yeah, there's a reason why Floyd had those dates.
It really makes sense.
Yeah, there's a reason why Floyd had those dates.
Right, I agree.
But it's more than just a Mexican holiday. They happen to be not coinciding with big NBA games, big NFL games, and big college football games. So that's also something people don't realize sometimes.
Definitely.
Right. Well, Ness, who do you have in that fight if they fight?
What, with Jacobs and Golovkin?
Yeah.
Golovkin? That's why I don't understand. That's
agree.
why I don't understand all this craziness. It's like the entire world is picking Golovkin. Plus, Daniel Jacobs is only the regular champion. Plus, the whole world knows Canelo ducked Golovkin. Like, I just don't get it. Why deal with this dude? If he doesn't want to fight, don't fight him. Go to purse bid.
But will you criticize him though? Will you criticize him though? That's a weird thing.
Right.
Like
No problem, D. MD, how could I criticize a guy calling a sanctioning fee body, telling him to go to purse bid?
Okay, I just want to pose this, right? So let's just say they don't come to agreement, right? And they, as a boxing fan, because you are, of course, a boxing fan, right?
Yeah,
so
I would totally say on the next show, like, fucking Golovkin and his team, they didn't make it happen. Jacobs walked away from the fight. Hell yeah, I'm gonna say it, because they are the ace.
You wouldn't be like Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs is no longer a champion and didn't even choose to test himself. And we as boxing fans shouldn't necessarily value him like.
Because Golovkin.
That's why we think differently, Ness. That's okay.
We do. Golovkin is a star, and if Jacob walks away because he doesn't want to make 25% versus a star, that's a dangerous move. Marketability wise, it's a dangerous move. But I understand he feels he deserves more. What the fuck could I do?
Nothing.
There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I couldn't do nothing when Pacquiao felt he deserved more in the Floyd fight. And that's why the Floyd fight didn't happen.
Let's not even talk about those, because let's talk about numbers. Like, obviously, Floyd Mayweather was the A side, but like
this principle is like when the A side offers you something and the B side doesn't like it, he doesn't take it. That shit is history.
Let's keep it real. Danny Jacobs is a fucking nothing compared to Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao had the Asian market cornered. We're
not talking Pacquiao to compare them. We're talking the principle.
Okay, well, it's not a fair comparison. That's my whole point.
A side offers, B side either accepts or rejects. It's that simple. Nothing else could be done.
Okay. Do we have any more callers?
That was the last one. I know. It was 3 hours because of you and some change. Yo, wow. This is one of those type of topics, man. Let's just hope that
let's just hope that we could actually talk about the X's and O's of these fights, right? And that's all we all want. But again,
I mean, this is the X's and O's, brother. Like,
the actual boxing fight.
This is part of the fight. That's what people like. Oh, you guys are into the like Chemo. Chemo's the specific call. I'm sad that he hung up. I wanted to go another round with him because.
And anybody watching live who just got on, please hit thumbs up because it helps us get out there and give us more opportunities to have shows like this. Because as long as I'm free, I'm down to do any show with Ness, and hopefully we have a producer next time.
Yeah, no, well, tomorrow's show definitely. Steven's off on Thursdays and Sundays where he picks up the slack on the producer's end here on the back end. But if we get to those Patreon goals, we'll have a full-time squad doing this five, maybe. We'll start off with 5 days. But anyway, look, man, this has been a debate that went absolutely nowhere. We were supposed to be immediately reacting to the news of the fight not happening this year, which is really the tragedy because that's one less fight for us this year. Now we got November to look forward to, but that's about it. Marshall High, if you're gonna buy a shirt, you might as well sign up to the Patreon. We got them over there cheaper, way cheaper. So go check it out. Yeah. So I'm your host, Ness GTO. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at Ness GTO, and my good co-host, the good doctor.
I am Boxing MD, and you could follow me at BoxingMD1 on Twitter. Is that more positiveness?
That is more positive. Look how he sounds. He's almost ready to be friends with people now.
Not friends with you.
Guys, later.